Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Hokage. Reward 10,000 times for teaching disciples, start by teaching Naruto Sss's level ninjutsu. Chapter 71. I'm just a child, Tsunade-sama, how can you have the nerve to borrow it? Besides, if he doesn't know you, he definitely won't borrow it. Tsunade nodded and said, yes. Then he added, if that's the case, then I'll bet with him. He loses faster than me, and his luck is obviously worse than mine. I will definitely win money betting with him. Shizune pouted and said, I have bad luck, but you have poor gambling skills. Nonsense. Tsunade slammed the table and said loudly, my gambling skills, inherited from my grandfather, are among the best in the ninja world. Shizune rolled her eyes. Even though he is old, he still wants to be stubborn. The pig lying on the ground turned its head to the other side and let out a piggy sigh. The reason why I haven't grown up is because this old woman lost all her food money. Eating one meal but not the next, or even starving for 9 meals in 3 days, seriously affects growth and development. Let's go to the casino. Shizune couldn't stop him, so he could only follow behind with Dodo in his arms. While walking, persuade Tsunade to be kind. Of course Tsunade would not listen to Shizune. When he arrived at the casino, he saw a gaming table crowded with people. Through the gap, Tsunade saw Naruto at a glance. Naruto was seen standing with one foot on the ground and the other on the table, holding a dice cup in his hand, raising it above his head and shaking it wildly. At the same time, he shouted loudly, if you buy it, leave it. If you buy it, leave it. In this hand, Naruto is the banker and bets on the size of the points. If the total number of 3 dice is less than or equal to 9, it is small. If it is greater than 9 o'clock, it is big. If you guess the right size, the dealer will pay you 1. In addition to guessing the size, you can also guess the specific number. If you guess the number correctly, the dealer will pay you 30. If it is a leopard, such as 3 1 points, 3 2 points, etc., the odds are 100 to 1. This kid is quite good at gambling. Tsunade's interest immediately rose and he wanted to join the crowd to gamble together. As a result, there were too many people, so she didn't squeeze in. She could only stand on the outside and stare. At the gambling table, everyone put their money on guessing the points, and all 6 leopards were pressed. Everyone bets 100 taels. This is a public area and gambling capital is limited. You cannot bet too much. Come on, it's about to open, buy it and leave. Naruto placed the dice cup on the table and everyone shouted, open it. Open it. Naruto shouted loudly, I have lost 3 times in a row, and I will definitely win this one. After saying this, he picked up the dice cup, and 3 dices appeared in everyone's sight. 3 dice. The numbers are 6. 6. 6. Ha ha ha, 3 6s, really 3 6s. Win again. It is indeed a fat sheep. Shish, keep your voice down, don't let him hear it, or you won't bet with us. Naruto looked at the 3 6s and shouted, why is it like this again? I don't accept it. This time, Naruto lost 260,000 taels. It's a shame that he didn't have the upper hand. Otherwise, let alone 10 million taels, even 100 million taels would not be able to afford to lose. Tsunade's eyes were shining at this moment. She couldn't wait any longer and pushed the people in front of her away with her hands. The strength was so great that these ordinary people had no power to resist. She came to the table and firmly occupied a seat. Those who were pushed aside by her wanted to scold them, but when they saw it was Tsunade, they stopped scolding them. This is also a fat sheep, so you can't offend it. The last one is the dealer, I don't believe I can't win. Naruto picked up the dice cup again and shook it. If you buy it, leave it. If you buy it, leave it. Everyone started betting again, all 100 taels, and continued to bet all 3 6s. Tsunade took out the remaining 35 taels of lunch money and followed everyone else, also pressing 3 6s. Bang! The dice cup fell on the table. I will definitely win this one. Open. The dice cup was opened, and only 3 dices were seen. The numbers were 6, 6, 5. Shizune stood behind Tsunade and said, it's over, I'm going to be hungry at noon. Dolphin raised 2 pig trotters, covered his eyes, and shouted, hey, hey. The pigs can't stand it anymore. Everyone screamed, how could this happen? With this one, the entire army is wiped out and the dealer takes all. Some people looked at Tsunade and then at Naruto and thought, this female fat sheep is definitely fatter. After all, she loses her first bet, which speaks volumes. Naruto, as the dealer, was also staring at the dice with a value of 5, his eyes flickering slightly. He thought to himself, how could this happen? It should be 6 o'clock, but it shouldn't be. No, you have to pay attention. He hid it well and didn't let anyone see it. Mizuki told him not to let anyone see that he was losing money on purpose. Ha ha ha, I just said that I will definitely win this one, ha, it's all mine, it's all mine. He held all the money in front of himself with both arms, his face full of excitement. Okay, I have been the banker 5 times in a row, now let's change. Everyone said one after another, the new guy is the banker, the new guy is the banker. Then all eyes turned to Tsunade. Shizune pulled Tsunade to leave, and at the same time said loudly, we have no money, and we don't want to be the banker. Tsunade refused to leave and shouted, where is the boss? Call the boss here. The casino owner came quickly and asked, well, sir, what are your orders? Tsunade said, borrow money, 1 million taels. Tsunade-sama. Shizune was about to explode. But Tsunade went her own way and ignored her at all. Shizune also knew that she couldn't stop her and could only be messed up in the wind. The casino owner didn't want to borrow it. Well, sir, you have borrowed 3 million taels in total before, and you haven't paid it back yet. I'm doing a small business here, and I don't have any extra money to lend you. The name of Fat Sheep is well known in the ninja world. Moreover, Feiyong has a very good reputation. Although he borrows money, he never defaults on the debt. Even if it takes a long time, he will pay back every penny. But this casino owner really doesn't have that much spare money. Tsunade frowned and said, it's not like I won't pay you back. When I win the money, I'll pay it back to you with interest. At this time Naruto said, sister, if you are short of money, I can lend it to you. I have money. Mizuki once said that if you meet a big-breasted sister to borrow money, don't hesitate to lend it to her. She borrowed as much as she wanted, but when she didn't have enough, she went back to Fenghuang village to get it. Tsunade asked, how much interest do you want? Naruto, I don't want interest. I will pay you back as much as you borrow. Tsunade narrowed his eyes and said, you offered to lend me money without asking for interest. What is your purpose? Tsunade had a vague feeling that there was some conspiracy. It has been 25 years since I left Konoha. Mizuki was at most 2 years old at that time and should have no memory of me. In other words, none of the people in Phoenix Village know me. Although Tsunade was confused, he couldn't figure it out for a while. Naruto said, you only have 35 taels left, but you still come to gamble. You even borrowed millions and lost them all. It shows that you, like me, are a very gambling person. It is a very noble virtue for a person to concentrate on one thing, even regardless of everything else. So, I'm more than happy to lend you money. Shizune opened her mouth wide and was going crazy. I lost all my money and racked up a lot of debt just because of gambling. Is this called focusing on one thing? Is this called noble moral character? Tsunade nodded repeatedly, deeply convinced. I never expected that a brat like you could actually say such profound words. In that case, bring me 1 million taels. Don't worry, I have never been in the habit of not paying back any money I owe. If you lend me the money, I will pay you back exactly what you owe me. Tsunade got the money and started to be the banker. Likewise, roll the dice. Buy and leave. The gamblers around were extremely happy that another fat sheep was taking over. Just like when Naruto was on the bank, they put all their money on 3 sixes, a total of 26 people. Only Naruto was different, he pressed 3 to 1. Open. The dice cup is opened, and there are 3 dices with numbers 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Shizune stood behind Tsunade, eyes wide open, looking at the 3 dice in disbelief, thinking he was hallucinating. According to past experience, shouldn't the numbers of 3 dice be 6, 6, 6? Ha ha ha, I win, take it all. While she was collecting the money, she nudged Shizune with her elbow. At the same time, she turned her head and whispered, how about it? I was right. That kid is definitely less lucky than me. He's just a fat sheep. With him here, I will definitely win today. Shizune curled his lips and whispered, Tisk, this is the first one. If you lose later, don't say it's bad luck. This time, Tsunade 2700 won Ryo. Come again. Everyone did not believe in evil and continued to press 3 sixes, and Naruto also continued to press 3 ones. This time, Tsunade rolled 3 threes. Ha ha ha, it's all inclusive again, come on, all your money is mine. This Tsunade won another 2700 Ryo. She was so happy. In the next few banker hands, no matter how hard everyone pressed, Tsunade would take them all. At the end of 5 hands, Tsunade 13,500 won tails. Shizune even thought she was dreaming. Tsunade-sama, you can actually win money. Next, it was someone else's turn to be the banker, and Tsunade won even more. Whatever she presses, the dice will come out. If she presses big, it will be big, if she presses small, it will be small. If she presses 3, it will come out 3. The gamblers around him also widened their eyes and felt incredible. However, this does not prevent them from making money. They will follow whatever Tsunade presses. The result is that anyone who takes the banker position will soon lose everything. They are not as wealthy as Naruto and cannot afford to lose. Some people began to question that there was something wrong with the dice, but the casino was not used to it. When you win, you happily take the money. When you lose, you say there is something wrong with the dice. You are the smart one, right? It has reached this level, even if there is a problem, you have to be willing to accept it. As a result, people who won money were afraid of losing money when it was their turn to be the banker, so they all made excuses to leave. But the casino has regulations. Anyone who wins money at this table is not allowed to leave without sitting in the banker. This is the default rule for all gamblers. As a result, these gamblers began to spit out the money they won. But after they took the throne, they were reluctant to leave and continued to press with Tsunade. They are already betting red. Even if the sensible person leaves, someone else will step up to fill the gap. As a result, everyone wins and loses, but Tsunade wins. The money in the hands of these gamblers becomes less and less, and gradually it all goes to Tsunade. By dinner time, Tsunade had won more than 4 million Ryo. After paying back Naruto's 1 million taels and the casino owner's 3 million taels, there was still more than 1 million taels left. Shizune's hands holding Dodo were shaking. It's coming, it's coming. Dodo, I can finally buy you more delicious pig feed. Hey. In the end, Naruto lost all his money. I felt that there were piles of banknotes in front of me, more than 3 million taels. She smiled from ear to ear. Seeing Naruto getting up to leave, Tsunade said hurriedly, Don't leave, kid. I'll lend you money if you don't have any money. Naruto shook his head and said, No, I'll go home and get the money and come back tomorrow. When Naruto left, Tsunade was the only one left at the table. The former fat sheep has now become a tiger, and no one dares to bet with her. So, she went to another table, but when everyone saw it was Tsunade, they immediately stopped and changed tables. Tsunade-sama, just give it up if you want. No one dares to bet with us anymore. Tsunade said, It's a rare win, and I'm not even happy about it. Come on, let's find another casino. Shizune said with a helpless look on his face, Let's go eat first. I haven't eaten lunch. It's dinner time now, and the pigs are so hungry that their stomachs are growling. Hey, Tsunade said. No, after dinner, the news here will spread, and people from other casinos will not dare to gamble with me. Tsunade strode away towards other casinos. Everyone looked at her back and didn't dare to call her, fat sheep. No one noticed that there was a slight, bang, sound in the dice cup. When someone else came to the table to open the banker, they discovered that one of the 3 dice was missing. Tsunade came to another casino and prepared to kill everyone. The result was that she kept losing, regardless of whether she was on the bank or not, she lost every time. He had more than 3 million Ryo, but soon lost 2 million Ryo, and finally had 1 million Ryo left, but Shizune refused to give it to Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, you can't win without that yellow-haired kid here. He made your luck extremely good. Once he left, you were knocked back to your original shape. So keep the rest of the money for gambling tomorrow when he comes. Tsunade was very unconvinced, but Shizune's words made sense, so he stopped for now. The next day, Naruto came again, bringing more money. Tsunade also came, and the gambling game started again. The news that Tsunade lost miserably last night also spread, so now everyone dared to bet with her again. Then, a similar situation occurred. Tsunade kills everyone and wins money in various ways. When Naruto lost all his money and left, Tsunade started losing money again. Then the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day. Every day, the same plot plays out. On the sixth day, Naruto didn't come. Shizune is anxious. Tsunade-sama, Uzumaki Naruto is not here today. Let's take a day off. Hey, as long as Naruto is not around, Tsunade will only lose money gambling. After finally saving some money, Shizune and Dodo both wanted to keep it. Tsunade said, "What does this mean? Others know about it and think that Naruto is not here, so I don't dare to go to the gambling table. Besides, gambling is not about winning money, but about interest. Do you understand interest? Whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter to me." So Tsunade secretly drugged Shizune and Dodo while they were eating at noon, knocking them out. Then he took the money hidden under the bed and went to the casino to give it away alone. When Shizune wakes up, he immediately heads to the casino, but it's too late. Tsunade has lost all his money and still owes the casino 1 million taels. In Phoenix Village, Mizuki is released. He has learned the 5 elements seal and can unlock it for Naruto. In addition, a new month has arrived, and a new round of grant returns can begin. Lift up your shirt and expose your belly. I will unseal it for you now. Naruto did as he was told, revealing the 5 elements sealing technique on his belly. Mizuki stretched out his right hand, opened his 5 fingers, and chakra with 5 attributes appeared on his fingers, forming the 5 characters of water, earth, fire, wind, and thunder. 5 elements unseal. Solution. 5 fingers were clasped on Naruto's abdomen. Naruto screamed and fell to the ground, but the 5 elements seal on his abdomen was successfully released. Master Mizuki, I feel it, chakra has become easy to control again. Naruto said happily. Mizuki said, try it and release the Rasengan with one hand. Naruto nodded and raised his right hand to release the chakra. The next moment, Rasengan takes shape. Haha, it worked. Mizuki added, try if you can throw the Rasengan. Naruto threw the Rasengan out, but it exploded before it flew 10 meters away. No, Naruto scratched his head. Master, why can your Rasengan be thrown, but mine and Sasuke's can't? They are both Rasengan, what's the difference? Mizuki said, my Rasengan has a more stable structure. It is the most stable structure I have found after countless attempts. If you want to be like me, you need to try more and change the subtle results inside Rasengan to make it more and more stable. This process is very boring, you can only rely on yourself. Naruto looked determined. I can definitely do it. By the way, Master, now that I have restored chakra control, can I proceed to the next step of training like Sasuke and the others? Mizuki nodded and said, your father, Namikaze Minato, was famous for his technique during his lifetime. In addition to Rasengan, he also had another technique called Flying Thunder God Technique. The Flying Thunder God Technique is a time and space ninjutsu, similar to my apparition, but it consumes less energy than apparition. Do you want to learn? Although Mizuki can apparate, the chakra consumption is too high. Unlike Flying Thunder God, it doesn't cost much. Moreover, Mizuki wants to know that Flying Thunder God is already S level. What will he get after returning the system? Naruto nodded repeatedly and said, I want to learn. Master, hurry up and teach me this flying technique. It's the Flying Thunder God Technique. Mizuki prompted. Flying Thunder God Technique, invented by second Hokage Senju Tobirama, is an S-class forbidden technique. During the Third Ninja War, your father, Namikaze Minato, used this technique to gain the title of Yellow Flash. He fought alone against the 4th Raikage and 8 Tails Jinchuriki without losing. Rock Shinobi Village even has a saying that if you encounter a Yellow Flash, you can give up the mission without being punished. Naruto listened, his eyes filled with admiration. He has admired the 4th Hokage since he was a child, and his admiration grew even more when he learned that the 4th generation was his father. Moreover, my heart is filled with a sense of glory. Mizuki took out a scroll and handed it to Naruto. Let me tell you in advance, I don't know the Flying Thunder God technique, so if you want to learn it, you can only rely on yourself. In addition, this technique is difficult and involves space. You must be careful when practicing and never be careless. Naruto nodded. I will be careful, and I am confident that my father can learn it, and I believe I can learn it too. Naruto took the scroll and went to practice. Mizuki also waited for the return prompt from the system. Ding. Host granted disciple Uzumaki Naruto S level Ninjutsu Flying Thunder God Technique Training Method, triggering 3037 times return. Congratulations to host, you have obtained SS level Ninjutsu and become Invincible Flying Thunder God. Invincible Flying Thunder God, within 0.5 seconds after you use Flying Thunder God, you will be invincible. Mizuki's mouth formed an O shape. I lost it. 0.5 seconds of invincibility. Good guy, as long as you keep using Flying Thunder God, won't you always be invincible? You know, Flying Thunder God has no cooldown time. In this way, wouldn't God kill God if he stands in the way, or kill Buddha if Buddha stands in the way? The level is only SS level, and it has not yet reached SSS level. This means that this technique has more advanced forms. Thinking about it, Flying Thunder God cannot be used at will, it must have a spell. Either throw a special kunai, or plant a spell on the enemy. All in all, there are limitations. This is probably the reason why the rating is SS. If you reach the SSS level, you probably don't need any magic spells. You can fly wherever you want. Only then will you be truly invincible. Unfortunately, what is returned is the cultivation method. If you want to learn it, you have to spend time and energy. Naruto has a good start here. Next is Sasuke. Mizuki found Sasuke again. At this time, Sasuke is practicing chakra control. I saw blue chakra released from his hand, and this chakra turned into the shape of a cat under his control. He controls the cat to walk, jump, and bite its ears. The so-called chakra control ability is to make chakra listen to yourself. Whatever you want chakra to do, it has to do that. The release of ninjutsu requires sealing. The purpose of forming seals is to guide chakra to flow through specific tendons. After passing through these tendons, chakra will change. For example, turn into fire, turn into water, turn into earth, etc. As chakra control becomes stronger, it can be simplified, one-handed, or even unnecessary. Mizuki told Sasuke that in order to learn to apparate, one must perform the one-handed seal. Sasuke worked very hard for this. Sasuke, stop for a moment. I'll teach you a new ninjutsu today. Mizuki spoke concisely and took out a scroll. This technique, called Impure World Reincarnation, is an S-class forbidden technique invented by second Hokage Senju Tobirama. Its essence is summoning technique. Summoning the souls in the pure land to the filthy land of the human world, resurrecting them in physical form and being controlled by you. Sasuke looked at the scroll and frowned. Mizuki explained, I teach you this technique just for revenge. Your enemy, 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the root leader Shimura Danzo were both killed by me. Your hatred has nowhere to vent, and it has been stored in your heart for a long time, which is not good. After learning Impure World Reincarnation, you can reincarnate the 3rd Hokage and Shimura Danzo, and then torture them to get revenge. Sasuke's frown immediately relaxed and he reached out to take the scroll. Thanks. Ding. Host granted disciple Uchiha Sasuke S level summoning forbidden technique Impure World Reincarnation practice method, triggering 6,944 times the return. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the SS level forbidden technique, the Dirty Earth Body Cultivation Technique. Pure Land Body. Summoning the soul in the Pure Land to the caster will obtain all the abilities and chakra of the soul during his lifetime. Note, this technique is a forbidden technique, which is more dangerous. If summoning too many souls, or a soul that is too powerful, there is a risk of being taken away. Good guy, isn't this just asking the patriarch to get on top of me? I got another SS level forbidden technique, and I have to say that the scroll collection room in Konoha was not in vain. Finally it's Nobita's turn. Nobita's basic skills are poor and he has not even mastered the simple 3-body technique, so Mizuki did not send any high-end products. Just gave me a bowl of instant ramen. Ding. Host granted disciple Nobita a bowl of instant ramen, triggering a 61x return. Congratulations to host, you received 61 bowls of delicious instant ramen. Mizuki. Avertisement. Each of the 3 disciples used one to grant the refund, and there were 2 left. Mizuki was in no rush to run out. No matter how good or powerful the return things are, it will take time to digest them. The village's basic public buildings are almost completed. It's time for Naruto and the others to be promoted to Chunin and increase the number of apprentices in the system. The system does not allow cheating. To become a Chunin, you must pass the Chunin exam. Now there are 2 choices before Mizuki. One is to organize the Chunin exam by himself, and the other is to take the Chunin exam in another country. It's easiest to organize it yourself. Just refer to Konoha for the test content. The first theoretical test, the second single-player scroll battle, and the third arena final. There are few people in the village, so there is no need to form a team. At this moment, the system spoke again. To organize the Chunin exam, 2 or more ninja villages must be invited to participate for a joint exam, and the finals must be conducted in public, so that it complies with the regulations. Gift crab. Mizuki exploded. What the hell is going on with the dog system? You said that Naruto and the others cannot be directly appointed as Chunin, and that Chunin needs to be started. Okay, I admit it, and I will organize the Chunin exam. Now you tell me that to organize the Chunin exam, you have to invite other ninja villages to participate and conduct a joint exam. I'll contact your mother. It's just a Chunin exam, why does it have to be so troublesome? The Chunin exam is a time to demonstrate national strength. It allows other ninja villages to realize the strength of Phoenix Village, which is more conducive to the development of the village. Mizuki couldn't help but roll his eyes. There are a total of 9 big cats and kittens in Fenghuang Village, demonstrating the national power of the ghost. When other people come to see it, they feel shabby. Phoenix Village was first built and needed to build a reputation to help attract more talents to join Phoenix Village. Therefore, it is necessary to hold joint examinations. Too much trouble. Originally, it was already a lot of trouble to prepare the exam content and the exam venue, and it was even more troublesome to invite other ninja villages to participate. It is better to use this time on cultivation. I'd better check if any other ninja villages hold exams. Since it's so troublesome to hold it yourself, you can only take the Chunin exam held by other ninja villages. Mizuki found the daimyo of Tori no Kuni and asked when other countries would hold Chunin exams. Especially in the Great Ninja Village, when the Chunin exam is held, the daimyo of each country will be notified and invited to watch the competition. The Bird Country is a small country that has nothing to contend with. It has no conflicts with anyone and is willing to invite all big countries. Mizuki-sama, the Chunin exam is usually held by major countries in March and October every year. The Chunin exam in October this year has ended, and the next one will have to wait until March next year. Mizuki frowned. It's early December, and there are still nearly 4 months until next March. We have to wait 4 months. Mizuki was unhappy, returned to Phoenix Village, and asked the system again. Besides taking the Chunin exam, is there no other way for them to become Chunin? The system replied, yes. Mizuki immediately asked, what can I do? The Chunin exam is a way to judge whether a genin is qualified to become a Chunin during peacetime. During the war, genin was promoted to Chunin, which was less troublesome. After completing enough tasks to prove that a certain genin has the strength of a Chunin, you can directly appoint him as a Chunin. During the war, Mizuki was speechless. Yes, you can start a war, so you don't need to take the Chunin exam. Mizuki, forget it, I'd better wait 4 months. Mizuki gave up. This system is simply insane. In these 4 months, we will continue to improve our strength and strengthen Phoenix Village. The newly acquired 3rd Gate SS level Ninjutsu, Heavenly Resentment U, Invincible Flying Thunder God, and Earthly Body, are all powerful techniques, and of course they are very difficult to practice. It's impossible to practice them all in one go, you can only do them one by one. Cultivation of Heavenly Resentment and U first. After the Heavenly Resentment U is completed, the body can be liquefied, and can invade other living things to steal vitality. There is no limit to the amount of vitality that can be taken. The vitality can restore all injuries, and will not age or die before it is exhausted. After completing the technique, you can steal the life force of other creatures. As long as the life force is enough, you can perform the Rinne Tensai technique without causing your own death. You can resurrect Chun, and you can also make Neji defect to Konoha, and then resurrect him after he is killed by Caged Bird. Tien Yu is definitely the first choice at the moment. Mizuki began to practice asceticism. Everyone in Phoenix Village has entered a state of cultivation. In the capital of Bird Country, an uninvited guest came, Jiraiya, one of the Sannin of Konoha. In the tavern, Jiraiya met Tsunade, who was drinking. Jiraiya, why are you here? Tsunade was half drunk. When he saw Jiraiya, he thought he had seen it wrong. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade, whose appearance had not changed, curled his lips and said, "Hey, you are so old, are you still pretending to be young?" Tsunade was not angry and said, "You came all the way to find me just to ridicule me." Jiraiya sat across from Tsunade, poured himself a glass of wine, drank it all, and then refilled it. "The old man is dead." Tsunade was silent for a moment and said, "Just die, everyone will die, there is nothing strange about it." Jiraiya asked, "Aren't you curious about how he died?" Tsunade said calmly, "How else can you die? Most likely it is your own fault." Jiraiya, you are such an accurate judge of people. Now it was Jiraiya's turn to be silent. After drinking several drinks, Jiraiya spoke again. He was killed by the traitorous ninja Mizuki, the first-generation Hokage of the newly established Phoenix Ninja Village. Also died together with Orochimaru and the fourth Kazekage. Hearing that Orochimaru was also dead, Tsunade's hand holding the wine glass paused. It turns out he's a rebellious ninja from Konoha. No wonder that kid's surname is Uzumaki. Jiraiya, the kid with the surname Uzumaki you are talking about should be Uzumaki Naruto. He is the son of Minato and Kushina, and he is also the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki of this term. Tsunade said, his identity has nothing to do with me. Even though he said this, Tsunade squeezed the wine glass with more force. The poor cup was almost crushed. Deep down, Tsunade still cares about Naruto. Every time Naruto is present, he can win by gambling, which leads Tsunade to be very interested in Naruto. Tsunade feels that a kid who can affect his luck must be special to him. In the past, Tsunade would stay in each place for at most 3 days. But because of Naruto, she stayed in the Bird Country for more than 10 days this time. Before Nawaki died, my luck was not bad. After Nawaki's death, my luck was extremely bad. Later I met Duan, my luck got better again, but after Duan's death, my luck got worse again. And now, another person appears who makes my luck better. Tsunade was a little looking forward to it, but also a little scared. He wanted to have more contact with Naruto because he saw the shadow of Nawaki and Dan in Naruto. But he was also afraid that because of him, Naruto would follow in the footsteps of Nawaki and Dan. She always felt that she was the one who killed Nawaki and Dan. Jiraiya is an idiot and can't see what Tsunade is thinking. He didn't come to Tsunade to drink and reminisce. There is no suitable Hokage candidate in the village. The advisors and heads of the major families agree that you are the most suitable person to serve as the 5th Hokage. Tsunade sneered. Why don't you do it right? Jiraiya said awkwardly. I'm not that material. Tsunade. If you don't deserve it, why should you let me? 5th Hokage. Whoever wants to be the one should be the one, but don't look for me anyway. Jiraiya advised. After all, Konoha village was founded by your 2 grandfathers, and the entire village is their hard work. Can you bear to watch the village gradually decline due to the lack of Hokage? If a suitable 5th Hokage is not selected, other countries will seize this opportunity and start a war. Tsunade said, it's none of my business. Jiraiya. The old man is dead, and so is Danzo. There is no soil for darkness to breed in the village. If you take office as 5th Hokage, Konoha will definitely return to the 1st generation and 2nd generation period. Tsunade placed the wine glass heavily on the table and said loudly, I told you, I'm not interested. Jiraiya was not annoyed and said, hey, forget it if you're not interested. Come on, let's drink. For 3 days in a row, Jiraiya drank with Tsunade every night, and persuaded Tsunade to return to Konoha to succeed the Hokage. Tsunade got tired of being talked about, so he made a condition. As long as you can get Uzumaki Naruto back to Konoha, I promise to go back and be the 5th Hokage. Jiraiya said with a grimace. This is very difficult. That Mizuki was super strong. When the old man, Orochimaru, and 4th Hokage teamed up, they couldn't beat him. In the end, they were all killed by him. If you ask me to go to Phoenix Village and snatch Naruto away, isn't that asking me to die? Tsunade. I don't care. Anyway, this is the condition. If you can do it, I will return to Konoha. If you can't do it, find someone else as soon as possible. Jiraiya is troubled. Nowadays, of all the ninjas in Konoha, Tsunade is the most suitable to be the 5th Hokage. Okay, let me go and give it a try. Forced to have no choice but to come to Phoenix Village, Jiraiya wanted to see Mizuki. When he arrived at Phoenix Village, Jiraiya's expression changed. This village has such a rich natural energy. Although it is not as good as Mount Myoboku, it is not far behind. The closer to the Hokage building, the richer the natural energy became. When Jiraiya arrived at the downstairs of the Hokage building, he felt that the concentration of natural energy around him was no worse than Mount Myoboku. Moreover, the surrounding natural energy is converging towards this building. Is it because of this building? Jiraiya looked at the Cage building, wanting to see what was special about this building, but looking left and right, he couldn't see anything. I just think that this funnying building has a strange shape. On the top floor of the Hoei building, Mizuki, who was practicing Tianyuyu, suddenly opened his eyes. The next moment, he appeared in front of Jiraiya. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? Could it be that you want to join Phoenix Village? Jiraiya smiled and said, No, I have no interest in joining your village. I came here to discuss with you whether it is possible to let Naruto return to Konoha. As long as you agree, I am willing to introduce you to Mount Myoboku and help you practice celestial magic. Immortal magic is a magic technique activated in Sage mode. The ninja's chakra is formed by combining physical energy and spiritual energy in a ratio of 1:1. The magic chakra is based on ordinary chakra, mixed with natural energy. The three energies must reach a balance of 1:1. If there is less natural energy, you cannot enter Sage mode. With more natural energy, the body will become naturalized. For example, in the senjutsu of Mount Myoboku, if there is too much natural energy, the body will turn into a frog or even become petrified. Once in Sage mode, the sorcerer's strength and speed are greatly enhanced. For example, Naruto in Sage mode can easily throw 9 tails away. In addition, the power of physical arts, illusions, and ninjutsu performed in Sage mode will be increased several times or even dozens of times. The senjutsu of the Mount Myoboku Toad Clan is indeed very powerful, but I'm not interested. The magic of the Toad Clan is indeed powerful. But for Mizuki, that's it. Besides, Mizuki, who has watched the anime, knows all about the training methods of Mount Myoboku Senjutsu. The only thing missing is toad oil. But it doesn't matter. He only needs to organize the immortal skills training method into a scroll and give it to his disciples, and the system will return a more advanced one. Mizuki looked like he didn't care, which made it difficult for Jiraiya. But he didn't want to give up just like that. Do you know why the first Hokage is called the god of ninja? Besides wood-style bloodline, the main reason is senjutsu. The reason Uchiha Madara lost to first Hokage was because he couldn't beat senjutsu. There is also Sage of Six Paths, the founder of ninjas. He is called Sage because of his senjutsu. With Rinnegan, if you learn magic, you might be able to become the second Sage of Six Paths. Jiraiya's words are very tempting. Unfortunately, Mizuki is not short-sighted. Don't waste your efforts, Naruto will not return to Konoha. He is my disciple, and I will not watch him return to that cold village full of cold eyes. Jiraiya immediately said, the third generation is dead, and Danzo is also dead. As long as Naruto returns, I will reveal his identity as the son of the fourth generation to the public as soon as possible. Then the villagers will no longer hate him, but will respect and love him, and when he comes of age, I will support him as Hokage. Mizuki shook his head. Jiraiya is a good man, and if he can make such a promise, he will definitely fulfill it. However, Mizuki still wouldn't agree. If Naruto goes back, he will suffer a great loss. The only reason you want Naruto to return to Konoha is for 9 tails. If 9 tails is returned to Konoha, it's not impossible. In this way, after a while, I will extract 9 tails from Naruto's body and return it to Konoha. After learning the heavenly resentment, you pull out the 9 tails from Naruto's body. After Naruto died, he resurrected him using the Rinne Tensei technique. The extracted 9 tails were sent to Shaoli, triggering the return of the system. Maybe I can return a 10 tails. No, please don't, I'm not here for 9 tails. Jiraiya's expression changed drastically. Good guy, if 9 tails is really drawn, Naruto will be dead. No matter what, Naruto is Minato's son and must not die like this. Mizuki said, I know that Jinchuriki will die after being separated from the tailed beast, but don't worry, I can revive Naruto with the help of the Rinnegan. Naruto doesn't have to go back to Konoha. 9 tails will return to Konoha. Then everyone will be happy. Jiraiya glanced at Mizuki's right eye and said, Resurrection of the dead. The Rinnegan is really powerful. But goodbye, I want Naruto to return to Konoha, not for 9 tails. Actually, I'd rather you keep 9 tails and I take Naruto. Ever since Orochimaru defected to Konoha, Jiraiya has been pursuing Orochimaru's traces. Orochimaru joined the Akatsuki organization and then defected. Jiraiya knew this. He also found out that the Akatsuki organization wanted to capture the tailed beast. Bringing 9 tails back to Konoha will attract the Akatsuki organization. Konoha couldn't bear the trouble. That's why he said that by leaving the tailed beasts in Phoenix Village, he felt that with Mizuki's strength, he could better protect 9 tails. Anyway, just don't let Konoha get hurt. If not for 9 tails, then what is it for? Mizuki asked curiously. Just as Jiraiya was about to explain, a kunai flew from a distance, aiming directly at Jiraiya. With his eyes narrowed, Jiraiya flashed away in an instant, and the kunai lost its target and was nailed to the ground. Which kid attacked me secretly? This kind of garbage throwing technique even wants to hurt me. It's so disrespectful. Jiraiya turned around and cursed. Mizuki glanced at the kunai on the ground and said, huh. The next moment, the kunai was nowhere to be found, and Naruto suddenly appeared, squatting handsomely, and picked up the kunai on the ground. This is water. Minato. Jiraiya's eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. To Jiraiya, this familiar figure looked too much like Namikaze Minato when he was a boy. Mizuki was pleasantly surprised. At this time, Naruto, Rasengan and Flying Thunder God have all mastered it, completely becoming a replica of Minato. If his combat experience keeps up, Naruto's strength will be as good as Minato's. Enough to kill Jonin instantly. You've learned it in just a few days. Although he knew Naruto was a genius, Mizuki still found it unbelievable. Naruto said with a proud face, hey, I'm a genius, just Flying Thunder God technique, it's nothing. In fact, the reason why Naruto learned so quickly was entirely due to multiple shadow clone techniques. Mizuki accidentally mentioned that Naruto always kept it in mind. In the past few days, he was practicing the Flying Thunder God technique and used multiple shadow clone. 1,000 shadow clone. The learning speed reaches 1,000 times, that's why I can learn Flying Thunder God so quickly. At this time, Jiraiya's face was full of shock. You really learned the Flying Thunder God technique. Naruto turned to look at Jiraiya and said, I heard everything you just said. It's absolutely impossible for me to go back to Konoha. Besides, I hate the ninjas of Konoha. Please leave as soon as possible, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Mizuki patted Naruto on the shoulder and smiled. Don't be like this, not all Konoha shinobi are as annoying as 3rd generation. This is Jiraiya, your father Namikaze Minato's teacher, a good man. Among the Hokage, Jiraiya is one of the people Mizuki admires. The hero Jiraiya deserves his kindness. When Naruto heard that he was his father's teacher, the hostility in Naruto's eyes faded. At this time, Jiraiya was still surprised that Naruto could learn Flying Thunder God. Only those with strong chakra control can learn Flying Thunder God. Only those who are extremely careful can develop chakra control ability to a very high level. Isn't this guy's character as carefree as Kushina's? There were so many things going on some time ago that Jiraiya didn't have time to learn more about Naruto in detail. No one told him that Naruto's chakra control ability reached the level where he could directly release ninjutsu without using any seals. He only knew from Sakura's childhood that Naruto was careless, not attentive at all, and a fool. So, He couldn't believe it when he saw Naruto learn Flying Thunder God. Uncle Jiraiya, although you are my father's teacher, if you want me to return to Konoha, I will not agree. Perhaps, if you had appeared earlier, I would not have left Konoha. But now that I have left, I will not go back. Jiraiya looked at Naruto and sighed. Naruto, I'm sorry. I have neglected you these years. After saying that, Jiraiya turned and left. He had seen the determination in Naruto's eyes and knew that no matter what he said, Naruto would never return to Konoha. He can only give up. With Tsunade, he could only think of other options. Tien Country, Sound Ninja Village. Yakushi Kabuto sat in the laboratory with a blank look on his face. Kimimaro is lying on the hospital bed. His illness is incurable and his body has reached its limit. The instrument next to him was monitoring his body. At this time, the heart rate monitor showed that his heart rate was decreasing rapidly, until it completely loses its beat. Dee. The alarm sounded. Kabuto came back to his senses, looked at Kimimaro who was completely lifeless on the hospital bed, and sighed. Orochimaru-sama is gone, and now you are gone too. Where should I go? He turned around and walked outside. He didn't know what he should do or where he should go. Just as he opened the door and was about to walk out, a familiar chakra fluctuation suddenly came from behind him. Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto turned around quickly and saw chakra surging at the location of the curse mark on Kimimaro's neck. The next moment, a white object emerged from it. It's a snake head, a big white snake head. Immediately afterwards, snake heads emerged one after another, 8 snake heads in total. Yama technique. It's Orochimaru-sama's Yama technique. The Yamada no Orochi emerged from the cursed seal and almost filled the empty laboratory. One of the snakeheads opened its mouth, and Orochimaru came out slimy. Lord Orochimaru, you're not dead, that's great. Uncle Snake emerged from the snake's mouth, covered in mucus. Disgusting. He stood on the ground, breathing in the fresh air. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, with an evil smile on his face. The feeling of being alive is so fascinating. Orochimaru was resurrected, and Yakushi Kabuto's dead heart became bright again. The confusion on his face was wiped away. Once upon a time, Yakushi was his light and the proof that he was alive in the world. But when Yakushi died, he lost himself and became at a loss, not knowing why he was living in this world. Later Orochimaru found him and he found himself again. Orochimaru became the new light that illuminated his life. But during the Chunin exam, Orochimaru died, and Yakushi Kabuto lost his sight again. Life has lost its meaning again. But now, Orochimaru is resurrected. Kabuto's world immediately became brighter. Kabuto, thank you for your hard work. Orochimaru's voice was as hoarse as before. Lord Orochimaru, I thought you. Kabuto once thought that Orochimaru was completely dead. Orochi smiled and said, I pursue eternal life and will not die easily. Is it a curse seal? Kabuto asked. Orochimaru nodded, but didn't explain much. Everyone who possesses the curse seal is a prepared vessel for Orochimaru. Even if Orochimaru is killed, he will not die completely. His will is contained in the curse seal, and he can be resurrected when he finds the opportunity. No, as soon as Kimimaro died, Orochimaru immediately found the opportunity and resurrected from the curse seal. No one knows how many people Orochimaru has planted a curse seal on. Even Yakushi Kabuto doesn't know. The Yamada no Orochi dispersed, and Orochimaru turned to look at Kimimaro who was losing his life on the hospital bed. Life is so fragile, it's alive one moment, but dead the next. Orochimaru's pursuit of eternal life became even more determined. Kabuto said, Lord Orochimaru, why not use impure world reincarnation to resurrect Kimimaro? That can be considered a different kind of immortality. Orochimaru shook his head. Eternal life without flesh and blood means nothing. Bury Kimimaro. In addition, you will be in charge of the Sound Ninja Village from now on. I will return to Konoha and succeed the 5th Hokage. Yakushi Kabuto frowned. He didn't understand. Didn't you say you wanted to destroy Konoha? Why would you go back and inherit the position of Hokage? Little did he know that Orochimaru's will had been changed by the distinguished heavenly gods. Are you confused? Orochimaru asked with a smile. Kabuto nodded. Orochimaru explained. Actually, my defection to Konoha was just a show with the old man from the 3rd generation. Acting. Yakushi Kabuto became increasingly confused. Orochimaru nodded. Good. A long time ago, the old man noticed the Akatsuki organization and knew that the leader of the Akatsuki organization owned Rinnegan. In order to find out the details of the Akatsuki organization, we made a defection plan. After I defected to Konoha, I successfully joined the Akatsuki organization and went undercover to investigate the intelligence of the Akatsuki organization. Later, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, Pain, noticed my undercover behavior, and I had to leave the Akatsuki organization. After leaving Akatsuki, I was supposed to return to Konoha. But the old man asked me to establish the Sound Ninja Village. He openly opposed Konoha, but in fact he wanted to unite Konoha secretly. Yakushi Kabuto's eyes widened, stunned. Third Hokage, is the road so wild? What about the plan for Konoha's collapse this time? Yakushi Kabuto swallowed. Orochimaru nodded and said, in recent years, Sand Shinobi Village has developed rapidly, so the old man and I discussed using the Chunin exam to suppress Sand Shinobi Village. The Konoha collapse plan was originally designed to kill the fourth Kage. Then Mizuki showed up and we had another target. I didn't expect that Mizuki was so strong. He forced fourth Kage to join forces with us, but we still couldn't beat him. Orochimaru's explanation is very reasonable. It has to be said that distinguished heavenly gods is so powerful that Orochimaru's will and thinking are completely changed. Completely brainwashed. The reasons he said seemed to be true. But Yakushi Kabuto always felt something was wrong. The contrast between before and after was too great. Mizuki told me that Uchiha Itachi joined the Akatsuki organization to work as an undercover agent. A Akatsuki organization, third generation actually sent 2 Kage-level experts to lurk. Isn't this a little too hasty? There are several Kage-level experts in Konoha, and it is unreasonable to send 2 of them to the same organization as undercover agents. Yakushi Kabuto didn't say anything, but he had doubts in his heart. He felt that something must have happened in the 4 Purple Flame formation during Chunin's exam that he didn't know about. Unfortunately, he was not on the roof at the time, and all 4 sound ninjas were dead. Konoha was also tight-lipped, so he had no way of knowing what happened on the roof. Don't worry too much, the truth is what I said. Kabuto nodded, and then asked, then why do you want to go back to serve as the 5th Hokage? Just continue as before, and the Sound Ninja Village secretly unites Konoha. After all, what the people of Konoha Village think of you, if you go back, the villagers will definitely not agree. Orochimaru said, don't worry, third generation has made arrangements. There is no decent person serving as Hokage in Konoha now. Jiraiya is an idiot and is not good at management. Tsunade travels around the ninja world and suffers from anemia and cannot fight, let alone be a Hokage. Those Jonin in the village are not strong enough either. So, I have to go back and carry the beam, otherwise Konoha will really collapse. Yakushi Kabuto said, then I will return to Konoha with you. Orochimaru shook his head in refusal. No, I want you to continue to stay in the Sound Ninja Village. Danzo is dead. I need the Sound Ninja Village to take over the route mission. I need you to do some shady things. Yakushi Kabuto. Until he watched Orochimaru leave, Yakushi Kabuto still couldn't get rid of the doubts in his heart. Master Orochimaru, why are you so different? Could it be that he was caught in an illusion? But what illusion can completely change a person's? Thinking of this, Yakushi Kabuto's eyes flashed. Uchiha Shisui, the most powerful illusion, distinguished heavenly gods. Bird Country, Phoenix Village, Fengiying Tower. Naruto, do you want to go back to Konoha? Mizuki asked. Naruto shook his head and said, no, everyone in Konoha hates me, and I will be looked down upon when I go back. On the contrary, people in the Bird Country like me very much. The uncles and brothers who built the village all like to chat with me. Even when I go to the casino, everyone likes me. Every time I go, they welcome me very warmly. Mizuki nodded and smiled. He is relieved. Naruto was here and already felt like he belonged. Don't you miss Konoha at all? Mizuki asked. Naruto said, it's not completely gone. I miss Konoha's Ichiraku ramen very much. And Kakashi-sensei and Sakura-chan, I miss them a little too. Mizuki smiled. Naruto at this time was indeed very cute. He took out 10 barrels of special instant ramen noodles from the storage ring. Here, Here it is, a special version of Ichiraku ramen. It is made by hand. Just add boiling water and you can eat it in 5 minutes. Wow, Naruto's eyes lit up. Master Mizuki, you are so kind. Mizuki smiled and said, if you get a chance, I'll bring Shuta to Phoenix Village, and then you'll have endless ramen to eat. Yeah, I agree. It would be great if Ichiraku ramen came to Phoenix Village. Mizuki was very pleased to see Naruto with a happy face. In the beginning, he took on apprentices purely as tools to pluck out the system's wool. But now, his mind has changed. Since you have become a master, you should fulfill your responsibilities as a master. Sasuke, Naruto, Nobita, they are all orphans. They need not only ninjutsu, but also the love from their elders. Let me be their teacher and their father. When he first traveled through time, he was alone, but now, he is no longer. He also has his own bond. Naruto, all your previous pain came from the Nine-Tails demon fox sealed in your body. Actually, I can help you pull out Nine Tails and get rid of your Jinchuriki identity. That way, no one will hate you anymore. Naruto was silent after listening to Mizuki's words. After a long time, he raised his head. Master, I heard what you said to that Jiraiya. I know you're doing it for my own good, and I'm happy. However, after Nine Tails is extracted from my body and sent back to Konoha, someone else must be the container to seal Nine Tails and become the new Nine Tails Jinchuriki. And the new Nine Tails Jinchuriki will take my place and bear the disgust and hatred of all the villagers. When he said this, a smile appeared on his face, and his face was full of sunshine. I will never forget that cold look in his eyes. I don't want anyone to ever feel the same pain and loneliness that I did. So, let Nine Tails continue to stay in my body. Naruto's words made Mizuki's heart tremble. Is this Naruto? Why so kind? What kind of noble moral character is this? At this moment, Naruto's body seemed to be glowing, and this light made Mizuki feel a little ashamed of himself. Compared to Naruto, Nagato is garbage. Nagato suffered, but wanted to spread the pain to the entire human world. Naruto suffered pain, but he just endured it silently, and then used himself as Doran to prevent others from suffering the same pain. This is the real savior. In that case, let Nine Tails continue to stay in your body. Now that you have mastered the Flying Thunder God and Rasengan, you have laid the foundation for becoming a cage-level powerhouse. But your combat experience is very poor and needs to be sharpened. Naruto asked, how to train? Mizuki replied, it's very simple, fight, a lot of fighting, especially fighting against strong people. This is the fastest way to increase combat experience. Naruto frowned, but where are there so many enemies for me to fight? Mizuki smiled and said, if you don't have enemies, just make them yourself. Your shadow clone is a good target for combat. Naruto's eyes lit up. It's interesting to think about fighting with yourself. Since you have learned Flying Thunder God, let me teach you another ninjutsu. Mizuki took out a scroll and handed it to Naruto. This is the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique, which allows one shuriken to split off a large number of shadow clone, forming a rain of swords to attack the enemy with a large area of coverage. This is a ninjutsu that combines ninjutsu and ninja tools. Third Hokage created it based on the shadow clone technique. When used, the more chakra consumed, the more shadow clone shuriken will be created. Those who master this technique include Third Hokage, Orochimaru, and Namikaze Minato. Jiraiya never learned this technique. When Minato is in use, the densely packed shurikens like a shower are enough to frighten the enemy. Take it back, study it carefully, and master it as soon as possible. It will be of great help to improve your strength. Naruto scratched his head and said, I'm not very good at shuriken throwing. This technique doesn't seem to be of much use to me. If you have time to throw shurikens, it's better to use Flying Thunder God to attack them at close range to save trouble. This jutsu should be given to Sasuke, he likes to use ninja tools. Naruto obviously had no interest in this technique. Mizuki said, I asked you to learn this technique, not to kill people with shuriken. The shuriken is not very powerful. Even if it stabs the enemy, it will not cause fatal damage. Throwing shurikens during combat can only serve as a source of harassment at best. Even in the fourth battle in the later period, shuriken had no chance to play. Impure World Reincarnation is not afraid of shurikens, Obito is not afraid of shurikens as a person, and Madara is not afraid of shurikens when driving a Gundam. This technique is for you to use in conjunction with the Flying Thunder God technique. Naruto didn't have a big brain and couldn't understand what Mizuki meant. Master, how can I cooperate? Mizuki asked in return. What is needed to perform the Flying Thunder God technique? Naruto showed the special kunai in his hand and said, Master, do you want to say this? Mizuki nodded and said, the performance of Flying Thunder God requires a spell, and the spell is engraved on this special kunai. In other words, without this special kunai, the Flying Thunder God cannot be used. If there are a lot of enemies, you have to throw more kunai as a foothold for the Flying Thunder God, right? Naruto nodded. He still didn't understand what Mizuki meant. Isn't it troublesome to make this kind of special kunai? Naruto immediately complained. Yes, you have to carve the magic formula on it, and you have to be very careful when carving. If you accidentally carve the wrong one, you have to start over. It took me several hours to succeed in this one. Mizuki smiled and said, haven't you figured it out yet? Naruto was still confused. Mizuki was really speechless. This guy was sometimes very smart and sometimes incredibly stupid. The answer was ready to come out, but he didn't understand it yet. I learned the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique and can also use it on kunai. Imagine that you throw a special kunai and it splits into tens of thousands in the air, covering a large area. In this area, your Flying Thunder God can use it at will. Isn't this easier than your hard work carving tens of thousands of kunai? Naruto slapped his head and said, yeah, why didn't I think of that? He immediately took the scroll and said, thank you, Master, for reminding me. I'm going to practice. Ding. Host granted disciple Uzumaki Naruto A-level ninjutsu. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique Practice Method, triggering 3037 times return. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the S-level ninjutsu, Giant Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Giant Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Throw ordinary shurikens, and split into tens of thousands of giant shurikens, covering a large area, forming a powerful strike like a tsunami of doomsday. Mizuki was speechless. Tens of thousands of giant shurikens, powerful strikes like a tsunami of doomsday. It sounds exciting. Shortly after Naruto left, Gaara suddenly came to Mizuki. I heard from Naruto that you can extract the tailed beast and keep Jinchuriki alive, is that right? Mizuki looked at Gaara's dark circles and nodded. What, you want me to help you extract the one tail from your body? Gaara. I want to sleep. Mizuki. The poor child has never had a peaceful sleep since he was a child, which is heartbreaking. Mizuki thought about it and decided that it would be good to draw one tail. Even if Gaara loses one tail, Gaara's strength will not be affected. On the contrary, after he pulled out the one tail and gave it to Sasuke, the system would definitely return him a stronger guy. When the time comes, you will also be able to experience the infinite blue joy of Jinchuriki. Yes, but not yet, we have to wait for a while. In order to extract the one tail from Gaara's body, Mizuki must first master the method of breaking the seal. To resurrect Gaara, he must master the heavenly resentment and accumulate a large amount of life force. To seal one tail into Sasuke's body, he must master the sealing method. Now, he doesn't know any of these and has to spend time learning. No, it doesn't matter, I can wait. It was obvious that Gaara was very excited. In the tavern in the capital of Bird Country. Jiraiya, you can't meet the conditions I asked, so don't blame me for not agreeing to you. Tsunade, I beg you, just say yes, Konoha really needs you. Jiraiya really has no choice. Tsunade shook his head. She actually missed Konoha. After all, it was the village founded by her grandfather. There was her childhood there, and there were precious memories that she could not forget. His relatives, his lover, and his friends were buried in the cemetery. How can you forget these? But asking her to go back to being a Hokage, sorry, really can't be done. How could a Hokage, who was suffering from hemophobia and unable to even participate in combat, protect the village and lead the village to develop and grow? Tsunade didn't agree. Jiraiya drank wine and looked sad. The wine table fell into silence for a while. Suddenly, the door of the tavern opened, and a pug wearing a blue cloak and a Konoha forehead protector rushed in. The dog was followed by a person, Konoha Jonin Kakashi. Jiraiya-sama, I finally found you. Jiraiya's face turned red, and he turned around with drunken eyes and said, it turns out to be Kakashi, why are you here too? Kakashi. A big thing happened in the village. Orochimaru returned to Konoha to compete for the position of 5th Hokage, and he even took out his handwritten letter of appointment as 3rd Hokage. Orochimaru said that he defected to Konoha in consultation with the 3rd generation in order to explore the intelligence of the Akatsuki organization. Jiraiya was sober in an instant and squinted his eyes. Orochimaru is not dead. Haha, what a stinking snake of immune to death. Anbu told me that during the rooftop battle that day, Orochimaru was struck by the distinguished heavenly gods and his will was changed. Before his death, the 3rd generation appointed him the 5th Hokage. However, the major families and the Jonin in the village will not agree to this matter. Tsunade scoffed upon hearing that the 3rd generation named Orochimaru the 5th Hokage. Jiraiya said to Kakashi, don't worry, Orochimaru alone, even with the old man's appointment letter, everyone will not agree to him being the 5th Hokage. Kakashi said, he is not alone. And Danzo, he's not dead and his roots are fully supportive of Orochimaru. What? Jiraiya's expression changed drastically. Didn't the old man say that Danzo was dead? Why did he appear again? He couldn't remain calm anymore and stood up in a hurry. The top priority is to return to Konoha, unite the major families and the 2 advisors, and drive away Orochimaru. He knew that Orochimaru must not be allowed to become the 5th Hokage, otherwise Konoha would be doomed. Orochimaru's experiments on humans were horrific and the villagers knew about them. If Orochimaru were to become Hokage, the number of defecting ninjas in the village would definitely increase. Tsunade, come back with me. You see, Konoha has begun to fall into chaos without you. Jiraiya made a final effort. Tsunade slowly picked up the glass and took a sip. Oh, the old man is willing to pass the position of Hokage to Orochimaru, and he doesn't say a word about me as the Senju successor. Why should I go back? He was afraid that after I came to power, I would target his Sarutobi clan. After all, the Senju clan completely declined during his reign. Give up, I won't go back to Konoha. Jiraiya felt anxious, but there was nothing he could do about Tsunade. Forget it, I'll come back to you after Orochimaru is dealt with. I hope you will think more about it during this period. After all, Konoha is the place where you were born and raised. There are some bonds that cannot be severed in a lifetime. Jiraiya and Kakashi rushed back to Konoha village overnight. The content of the conversation between the 3 people was also transmitted to Mizuki's ears through Shadow Clone. Danzo is not dead. Mizuki was surprised. He had checked the body and confirmed that Danzo was dead. As for Orochimaru not dying, Mizuki is not surprised. The ninja world is dead, and Orochimaru may still be alive. It's not a bad thing that Danzo isn't dead. It just gives Sasuke a target. Furthermore, with Danzo as a troublemaker in Konoha, the public sentiment will be greatly affected. When someone defects, I can bring them all to Phoenix Village. There are only 9 people in Fenghuang Village and it is in urgent need of expansion. Suddenly, he received news from Shadow Clone again. Tsunade is leaving the land of birds. Mizuki stood up hastily. I had invested so much money just to get Tsunade to join Phoenix Village. Now that Tsunade wants to leave, this is absolutely not okay. I have to meet her in person. Mizuki immediately left Phoenix Village and was soon on a small road, blocking Tsunade's path. First generation Hokage Mizuki, why are you stopping me? Tsunade asked. Mizuki didn't beat around the bush and made his intention clear. I would like to invite you to join Phoenix Village. Tsunade sneered. I'm not even willing to be the 5th Hokage, so I'll join you in Phoenix Village, haha. Mizuki said, if you join Phoenix Village, I can give you countless money and let you gamble as much as you want. Tsunade, no need. Mizuki was not surprised and continued. If you join Phoenix Village, I can resurrect your brother Nawaki, and your lover Kato Dan. This is impossible. Tsunade trembled and stared at Mizuki. Nothing is impossible, Mizuki said lightly. Shizune on the side said, resurrection of the dead cannot be achieved even with Tsunade-sama's superb medical ninjutsu. That's no longer the scope of ninjutsu. You are simply lying to Tsunade-sama. Dolphin also said, hey, to express his dissatisfaction with Mizuki. Mizuki remained calm and said, "Whether it is possible or not, you will know after a while if you see it. Tsunade-sama, don't believe him. He is a traitorous ninja of Konoha, and he will never be safe." Tsunade raised his hand to interrupt Shizune and said to Mizuki, "Okay, then I will wait in the Kingdom of Birds for half a month to see if you have the ability to resurrect the dead. If you can really resurrect Nawaki and Dan, I will join Phoenix Village." Mizuki smiled. "It will not let you down. By the way, I, Phoenix Village, will cover all your expenses in Bird Country for the past half month." Half a month is enough for Mizuki. As long as Tsunade doesn't leave today, he won't be able to leave in the future. Back in Phoenix Village, Mizuki wasted no time practicing Tianyuyu. It's almost time. In 3 days at most, Tianyuanyu will be able to successfully cultivate. Meanwhile, Konoha was in turmoil. Orochimaru is back, carrying the legacy of the third generation and coming back to inherit the position of fifth Hokage. The Roots, led by Danzo, fully support him. Danzo also took out a top-secret file, which recorded the third generation's detailed plan to order Orochimaru to pretend to defect and establish the Sound Ninja Village. These were all prepared by third generation during their lifetime. Although third generation's character is not very good, it does things well. With this file, Orochimaru's identity is legal. Even though the ninjas and civilians in the village are against Orochimaru, they can no longer make a fuss about Orochimaru's defection. But everyone still doesn't want Orochimaru to become the fifth Hokage. The major families, the 2 advisors, and the village's Jon and Chunin all opposed it. Danzo was so savvy that he directly invited the Fire Nation daimyo to recommend Orochimaru as the fifth Hokage. In the conference room, Danzo was in high spirits. "Lord Daimyo, in Konoha village right now, except for Orochimaru, there is no one else who can inherit the position of Hokage. The fifth Hokage is none other than Orochimaru." The daimyo didn't want Orochimaru to be a Hokage, so he asked, "Besides Orochimaru, do you have anyone else to recommend?" Udatain Kaharu. "Lord Daimyo, Jiraiya has set out to find Tsunade. As the granddaughter of the first Hokage and the princess of the Land of Fire, Tsunade is more suitable to be the Hokage than Orochimaru." The daimyo immediately nodded and said, "Tsunade is indeed the best candidate for fifth Hokage." Danzo immediately said, "Lord Daimyo, I got news that Tsunade is addicted to gambling and owes a lot of debt, at least 500 million. If she serves as Hokage, Konoha will not be able to get the money. I'm afraid the daimyo will have to help pay off the debt. Otherwise, the dignified Hokage will not repay his debts, and this name will not sound good to him." When the daimyo heard that it was 500 million, his expression changed and he stopped talking. Mitokado Homura. "I recommend Jiraiya." The daimyo immediately said, "Jiraiya can do it, he is very sunny, and the villagers will definitely be willing to accept him." The implication is that Orochimaru is too dark and is not accepted by the villagers. Danzo immediately retorted, "Lord Daimyo, Jiraiya has a loose personality. He is more like an erotic novelist than a ninja. The book, Intimate Paradise, he wrote is unsightly and violates the 3 taboos of ninjas. By letting him serve as Hokage, the Fire Nation will probably become the laughingstock of the entire ninja world." Tsunade and Jiraiya were all denied by Danzo, which made the 2 consultants embarrassed. "Danzo, Tsunade and Jiraiya are all suitable candidates. The debts and novels you mentioned are just insignificant minor problems. On the contrary, it is Orochimaru who has conducted human experiments and killed many innocent people. The whole village will not accept this." Danzo said, "Those were all orders given by Hiruzen. Orochimaru just acted according to the orders. His nature is actually kind. Everyone, well, now that third generation is dead, we can just pass the blame, right?" Everyone was unhappy, but Danzo was extremely happy. "Hiruzen, I took the blame for all the bad things in the past. Now, I'll let you have a taste of taking the blame. You always have to pay back when you go out to hang out. If you can't pay it off while you're alive, then you can continue to pay it off after you die." At this time, Nara Shikaku suggested, "I recommend Hatake Kakashi to be the fifth Hokage." The daimyo's eyes lit up and he said, "Copy Ninja Kakashi. I heard that he is a disciple of the fourth Hokage. He is a promising young man, and he is upright and has no stain." Well, I think it's okay. Danzo immediately jumped out again. Lord Daimyo, Kakashi is too young. Furthermore, all generations of Hokage have been the strongest in the village. Although Kakashi is an elite Jonin, he is not strong enough. It is difficult for him to serve as Hokage and convince the public. Danzo stared at the daimyo with a threatening look in his eyes. Orochimaru is the best candidate for Hokage. He is a disciple of the third generation, and his strength is among the best in the entire ninja world. Over the years, he has endured humiliation and shouldered the burden to complete the tasks assigned by the third generation without any complaints, and there is no problem with his moral character. The third generation appointed him the fifth Hokage before his death. This shows that in the eyes of the third generation, Orochimaru is the most suitable candidate. Moreover, he also established the Sound Ninja Village and trained a large number of masters. If he is not allowed to be elected, then I am afraid it will chill the hearts of many people. Everyone here, I don't want Konoha's collapse plan to happen again. This is already a naked threat. The two advisors glared at Danzo and wanted to scold him, but couldn't. They are afraid too. Behind Orochimaru, in addition to his roots, there is the entire Sound Ninja Village. If they really break up, the consequences will be unimaginable. They only blame Jiraiya for not getting Tsunade back earlier, so that the situation has reached the point where it is now out of control. The daimyo was also chilled by Danzo's threatening gaze. Since that's the case, then I propose Orochimaru as the fifth Hokage. Is there anyone here who is against? Objection. No one spoke. No one dared to object. If it were just Orochimaru, no one would care. But with the addition of Danzo, what could they have against him? In that case, I officially appoint Orochimaru as the fifth Hokage of Konoha village. The appointment letter for the daimyo was issued quickly. Orochimaru successfully ascended to the position of fifth Hokage. With Orochimaru taking over, the overall atmosphere of Konoha village has changed. There were fewer people in the bustling market in the past, and it was no longer as lively as usual. There was sadness on the faces of the villagers, and they walked faster, as if they were in a hurry. The efficiency of the ninjas in performing tasks has become lower, and the number of requests to Konoha to issue tasks has also dropped sharply. To describe it in one word, it is bleak. By the time Jiraiya and Kakashi returned to Konoha, it was already too late. This is bad. When Jiraiya returned to the village, the two advisors immediately came to see him. When they learned that Tsunade did not want to return to Konoha, the two advisors felt uneasy. Hey, I'm getting old. Tomorrow, we will resign as consultants and retire in peace. Jiraiya said quickly. Don't worry, you two. We still have a chance. We just need to unite the major families and the Jonin in the village to drive Orochimaru away. The two advisors shook their heads and smiled bitterly. So what if we drive away Orochimaru? If Tsunade doesn't come back, who will be the fifth Hokage? You. Jiraiya. Whoever is in charge is better than Orochimaru. If he continues to be in charge, the village will be doomed. The advisors of the two committees still shook their heads. The daimyo has issued a formal appointment letter, and his fifth Hokage status has been recognized by the Fire Nation. We have nothing to do if we don't agree. If we join forces to oust him, it will be rebellion. Although the daimyo is not happy about Orochimaru taking the position, the daimyo pays more attention to face. The appointment letter was signed by the daimyo himself, so he will not slap himself in the face. If Tsunade comes back, we still have a chance. After all, Tsunade's status is extraordinary. But Tsunade doesn't come back. If we openly oppose Orochimaru, the daimyo will definitely label us as a rebel. Konoha can't bear the trouble anymore, so let's let it go. The advisors of the two committees sighed and left. Jiraiya stood there for a long time and sighed. Kakashi asked, Jiraiya-sama, what should we do now? Jiraiya looked up at the Hokage building in the distance and said, the situation has reached this point. It's too late to do anything. The only thing we can do is to do our best to clear Orochimaru's name and make all villagers accept Orochimaru. Only in this way can Konoha be stable. 3 days passed by in a flash. Fengwang Village, Fengying Building. The secret technique of heavenly resentment has finally been successfully practiced. His body turned into a transparent viscous liquid, flowing on the ground like water. It climbed up the windowsill, reach the outer wall, and then float along the outer wall to the ground, seeping into the ground and moving in the gaps in the soil. Soon the fluids move to the roots of a tree, where they penetrate. The lush leaves of this big tree, which was as thick as a bucket, began to wither quickly, and the trunk also quickly dried up. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the tree became a dead tree and completely rotted. When the wind blew, the dead leaves flew away, the dead branches were broken, and the trunk also fell. The liquid emerges from the ground and reforms into Mizuki. At this time, he felt that his body was full of vitality and full of life. His appearance also became younger. System, check the properties panel. Host, Mizuki. Remaining lifespan, 56 years. Chakra, 54.8 Kakashi. Chakra reply, 2.5 Kakashi per minute. Chakra control, 99.9999%. Ability parameters. Tolerance 10, Physical 9, Illusion 9, Sage 8, Strength 8, Speed 8, Essence 10, Seal 10, Total 72. Ninjutsu. Upgraded 3 Body Technique, Earth Style. Earth Style. Tyrone Gun, Earth Style. Stone Mirror Wall, Sky Stepping Technique, Rasengan, Wind Style. Spiral Shuriken, 6 Paths. Yin-Yang Rasengan, Secret Technique. Tianyu, Sharingan Eye Technique, Rinnegan Eye Technique. Physical Skills, Tai Chi. Illusion, Magic, Narukumi Technique. Sealing Technique, 5 Elements Seal. Bloodline Limits, Left Eye Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Right Eye Rinnegan. Disciple, Uzumaki Naruto S level qualification, Uchiha Sasuke S level, Haruno Sakura A level, Nobita C level, Rock Lee A level. In the property panel, the remaining life property has just appeared. Mizuki found another tree as thick as a bucket, and used the liquefaction of TNU to swallow up all the life force of the tree. After devouring it, I opened the properties panel and found that the remaining lifespan had changed from 56 years to 66 years. The vitality of this tree alone provides Mizuki with an upper limit of lifespan of 10 years. Swallow a forest and I will live forever. Soon, a small forest with nearly 100 big trees was swallowed up. Mizuki's lifespan reaches 1,000 years. Inside the body, there is abundant vitality. He took out the kunai and made a deep wound on his arm that was visible to the bone. But in less than 3 seconds, the wound had healed. I finally realized how shameless Senju Hashirama's sage body is. Mizuki chuckled. Super strong regeneration and recovery capabilities are exactly the characteristics of the immortal body. In fact, Mizuki does not currently have a fairy body. But the massive vitality accumulated in his body gave him the same characteristics as the immortal body. Now you can roam freely. His only weakness is his heart, and as long as his heart is not destroyed, he is immortal. Because all the vitality swallowed into the body is stored in the heart. Unfortunately, although I have a weakness, the enemy will never be able to take advantage of it. The secret technique Tianyuan Yu gave him the ability to liquefy. It can be completely liquefied or partially liquefied. Therefore, as long as he liquefies his heart, he will be immune to all kinds of physical damage, even if he is pierced by a knife, it doesn't matter. No solution. Heavenly Resentment Yu Liancheng. Now I am no longer afraid of Rinne Tensai's backlash against my own life. Next, there's chakra. To cast Rinne Tensai, a large amount of chakra is required. The stronger the person is resurrected, the more life force and chakra will be consumed. Resurrecting a person who has been dead for a long time will consume more life force chakra. There is nothing wrong with the vitality. If you don't resurrect too many people at once, it will basically not capsize in the gutter. All that is missing is chakra. With his current chakra capacity of 54.8 Kakashi, there is no problem in resurrecting a recently deceased person, but it is far from enough to resurrect a person like Nawaki who has been dead for more than 20 years. So, he needs more chakra. The fastest way to improve chakra is the heroic water from Taki Ninja Village. Then, let's go to Taki Ninja Village. The heroic water of Taki Ninja Village can increase the amount of chakra of a ninja dozens of times after drinking it, but it will swallow up the vitality, so it is called the heroic water. Because anyone who drinks this water will become a hero in the end. Although there are side effects, Mizuki doesn't care. After you get it, give it to your apprentice to earn money back from the system. If there are any side effects, just tell your apprentice not to drink it. Before going to Taki Ninja Village, first bring Tsunade to Phoenix Village. Mizuki left Phoenix Village and found Tsunade in a casino in the capital of Bird Country. Can Nawaki be resurrected and broken? Tsunade asked expectantly when he saw Mizuki. Mizuki replied, not yet. The two of them have been dead for too long, and the conditions for resurrection are more difficult. I'm here today to demonstrate how to resurrect the dead, so that you can have some confidence in your mind. Tsunade asked, how to perform? It's simple, come with me. Mizuki walked in front and Tsunade followed. The two walked on the street. Soon, Mizuki came to the door of a house. An old mother died in this family and a funeral was being held. He died yesterday and his body was completely cold. When Mizuki arrived, the family immediately came out to welcome him. The male host walked in the front, his face full of flattery. First generation Master Feng, you are welcome to attend my mother's funeral. Please come in. When Phoenix Village was announced, many people from Bird Country went to visit, so many people knew Mizuki, including the male head of the family. Mizuki smiled. I'm not here to attend the wedding, I'm here to save your mother. The male host's expression froze and he said, Lord First Generation Feng, my mother is dead. Mizuki. I know. The people around you look weird, you know shit. Everyone is dead. If you want to save them, how can you save the dead? Okay, just take me in and we'll find out. In the morning hall, the body of the deceased is placed in a coffin. Do you need to open the coffin for inspection? Mizuki turned around and asked Tsunade. Tsunade shook his head and said, no need, what's in the coffin is a corpse. As a medical ninja, I can still tell the difference between the living and the dead at such a close distance. Mizuki nodded and went straight to work without saying much. Heretic. Rinne Tensai technique. As he finished speaking, Mizuki experienced violent chakra fluctuations. Tsunade's eyes were always on the coffin. At this moment, green light appeared around the coffin. In this green light, Tsunade felt the power of life. The guests who came to attend the funeral were so frightened that they ran out. Even the children of the deceased looked at the coffin that was glowing green with trepidation. When the green light disappeared, Tsunade clearly felt that the body in the coffin was already alive. Where am I, Shunsuke, Shunsuke? Shouts came from the coffin. The male owner of the house was so frightened that his legs were shaking. Mom faked the corpse. Mizuki said to the male host. It's not a fake corpse, your mother has been resurrected by my ninjutsu. Go open the coffin quickly, don't let her suffocate in it. Really? The male host was still a little scared. Mizuki shook his head, walked over, and lifted the lid of the coffin. Inside the coffin was a woman with black hair and a face of about 50. The male host named Shunsuke is over 50 years old, and his hair is Madara white. How the hell is he so young? This was done deliberately by Mizuki, who resurrected it and gave it an extra 20 years of life. With the family's gratitude, Mizuki and Tsunade left. How? Mizuki asked. Tsunade's clenched fists and tense body have relaxed. She has been very nervous since she left the casino just now. After seeing the old man resurrected, her nervousness faded away. I believe you, and I am willing to join Phoenix Village. Mizuki smiled. Tsunade joins, then Shizune will also join, and Dodo. Fengwang Village expanded from 9 people to 11 people, plus 1 pig. Grow bigger again. The future is promising. At this time Tsunade said, there is something I must explain to you in advance. Mizuki asked, what's the matter? Tsunade. I suffer from hemophobia and cannot fight. Therefore, even if I join your Phoenix Village, I will not be able to provide any useful value to the Phoenix Village. Mizuki smiled and asked, can I ask why you suffer from hemophobia? Tsunade was silent for a moment and replied, at the beginning, when I saw Dan covered in blood, I couldn't revive him. Mizuki said, since it was because of Dan's death that you suffered from anemia, then your anemia will naturally disappear after Dan is resurrected. Tsunade said expectantly, maybe. Immediately afterwards, Tsunade found Shizune, explained the matter, and came to Phoenix Village with Mizuki. Mizuki called everyone over, and under the witness of everyone, announced that Tsunade Haim, one of the Sannin, had officially joined the Phoenix Village. Sister, it turns out you are a ninja too. It's great that you have joined Phoenix Village now. Naruto was happy. At this time Zabuza said, Lord Hokage, as far as I know, Tsunade Hime, one of the Konoha Sannin, is a powerful ninja who became famous in the ninja world during the Second Ninja War. She is at least over 50 years old. This woman looks to be in her 20s, how could she be Tsunade Hime? Lord Feng Ying, you were deceived by her. Mizuki glanced at Tsunade and couldn't help coughing twice. Ahem, that's right, she is Tsunade Hime, one of the Sannin. In terms of age, haha, you can't just judge people by their appearance, cough. Zabuza exclaimed, is she really Tsunade Hime? Why is she so young when she is clearly in her 50s? Could it be transformation technique? At this time, Tsunade's anger level has begun to rise. Just give me enough is enough. Without the exertion of her feet, the ground cracked open, and a crack several meters deep instantly extended to Zabuza's feet. Zabuza was unprepared and fell directly into the crack. Mr. Zabuza, Haku exclaimed. It's so scary. Everyone's eyes widened, and there was a chill on their backs. Naruto curled his lips after being surprised. TCH, she is obviously a mother-in-law in her 50s, but she used the transformation technique to turn into a young woman and pretend to be young. Tsunade turned to look at Naruto with murderous intent in his eyes. Do you want to challenge me too? Naruto chuckled. Mother-in-law. 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 She is so old, but she still refuses to admit it and is not ashamed. Naruto. He felt the chakra emanating from his body and the twin tails floating on the back of his head. She was really angry. What a scary mother-in-law, I'll dodge. Naruto screamed, and the next moment, his body disappeared. Huh, Tsunade was secretly surprised. She didn't see how Naruto disappeared. Not only him, but everyone else present, except Mizuki, didn't know how Naruto disappeared. Sasuke murmured, apparition. He turned on the two-tomo Sharingan and glanced around, but there was no sign of Naruto within his field of vision. Tsunade looked at Mizuki and confirmed, Flying Thunder God. Mizuki nodded slightly. Zabuza climbed up from the crack, heard the words, Flying Thunder God, and exclaimed again, Fourth Hokage's signature space ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God technique. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. He looked at where Naruto was standing just now, his eyes radiating strong fighting spirit. Naruto, you actually learned the space ninjutsu one step ahead of me. No, I will never admit defeat. Master Mizuki, I'm going to practice. Sasuke said and left. He was aroused by Naruto. Soon, everyone dispersed, and Mizuki was also preparing to go to Taki Ninja Village. I will resurrect Nawaki and Dan as soon as possible. In addition, I will help you pay off all the foreign debts you owe. You can also ask me to reimburse you for any money you lose from gambling in the future. Tsunade, the foreign debt I owe is more than 500 million, and you can't afford it. Mizuki smiled and said, it's only 5 or 6 billion, it's nothing. Is this what people say? With a mere 5 or 6 billion, Ming Dynasty would not dare to be so arrogant. After settling Tsunade and Shizune, Mizuki left Phoenix Village. The country of Taki and the country of birds are not too far apart from the country of rain and the country of grass. Mizuki flew solo and arrived at Takino country in less than 3 hours. According to Kakuzu's memory, he found the entrance to Takino country. A huge and spectacular waterfall. From a distance, he saw a battle taking place in front of the waterfall. One side is naturally the ninja of Taki Ninja Village, and the other side is 2 members of the Akatsuki organization wearing black and red cloud windbreakers. Art as an explosion. Drink. L. There were explosions one after another. The artistic duo, Red Sand Scorpion and Deidara, are actually here. At this time, the Red Sand Scorpion was watching a show. Deidara sat on the back of Clay Fukuro and released a group of bird bombs, chasing a female ninja with butterfly wings behind her to explode. The flying ninja should be the Seven Tails Jinchuriki from Taki Ninja Village, Fuba. In the anime, Seven Tails Jinchuriki Fu was captured by Kakuzu and Hidan on her way back to Takinen Village after taking the Chunin exam in Konoha, and Seven Tails fell into the hands of the Akatsuki organization. Now that Kakuzu and Hidan have been dealt with by Mizuki, it's Scorpion and Deidara's turn to capture Seven Tails. Mizuki showed little interest in their fight. The purpose of his coming here is the heroic water. Apart from the heroic water, the only thing here that interests me is Seven Tails Chome. Let's get the hero's water first. Mizuki quietly fell to the ground, his body liquefied, and he quickly passed through the waterfall and entered the cave behind the waterfall. This is a place like Water Curtain Cave. There are some small pools on the ground, and Mizuki found one of them. Entering this pool and passing through the long and narrow underground waterway is the Taki Ninja Village. It has to be said that Taki Ninja Village is very hidden and it is difficult for outsiders to find the entrance. He was about to enter the pool when suddenly several ninjas from Taki Ninja Village jumped out of the pool. Quick, Fu is being attacked by the enemy, we can't let anything happen to him. Don't worry, Mr. Shiki, we will definitely kill the enemy. These ninjas rushed towards the waterfall. The transparent liquid Mizuki turned into was very inconspicuous on the ground, and no one noticed him. After everyone left, Mizuki entered the water pool, passed through the underground waterway, and successfully arrived at Taki Ninja Village. This is a secret place isolated from the world, a lake. On one side of the lake is a towering tree, and on the other side is the village. The water of heroes is hidden at the roots of this big tree. Mizuki dived under the water and swam towards the roots of the big tree. Soon he stepped onto a dry land made of tree roots. The next step is to find the cabinet where the hero's water is hidden. The roots of this tree are crisscrossed, and if you are not familiar with the root, you will not be able to find the cabinet. Fortunately, Mizuki read Kakuzu's memory and knew how to go. He shuttled through the roots and quickly found the cabinet containing the hero's water. I opened the cabinet door, only to find it was empty. No, Mizuki frowned, why not? Could it be that all the plots in the theater version have happened? In the Hokage movie version, Team 7 comes to Taki Ninja Village, just in time for the leader Shibuki's master to flood the village to rebel and seize the heroic water. Finally, during the battle, the bottle containing the hero's water was broken and all the hero's water spilled out. Did I run away in vain? No, you can't come all the way in vain. If you can't get the heroic water, then take Seven Tails back and give it away. The thief never leaves. Mizuki returned the same way, and as soon as he came out of the waterfall, he saw the ninjas from Taki Ninja Village exuding powerful chakra fluctuations. They turned water into water knives and held them in their hands, fighting Scorpion's puppet. These people have chakra leaking out of their bodies, right? Mizuki's eyes lit up. He glanced around and soon saw one of the Taki nins, with a gourd-shaped glass bottle hanging on his waist. The bottle contained liquid. It's strange that it has to be in the cabinet. It turns out that they brought it out for use in fighting. At this time, the chakra fluctuations on a Taki ninja gradually subsided, and he shouted, Master Shibaki, my chakra is used up, please let me take another sip of the hero's water. Shibuki said, no, you have already taken a sip. If you drink again within a short period of time, you will die. Please retreat behind the waterfall and do not participate in the next battle. The man said, the enemy is too strong, just the puppets can block us. If we don't drink the hero's water to enhance the chakra, we will all die. Anyway, we will die. I will never retreat and must fight until the last moment. Mizuki frowned, took off the glass bottle, and threw it at the man. The red sand scorpion had already noticed the heroic water and controlled the scorpion tail whip to attack the glass bottle. The speed was so fast that Shimu was unexpected. Not good. Seeing that the hero's water was about to be destroyed, Mizuki took action immediately. Universal pull. Under the influence of gravity, the glass bottle immediately turned around and fell into Mizuki's hands. After getting the hero water, Mizuki immediately liquefied and sank into the water. Although Mizuki moved quickly, Scorpion still saw him. Scorpion paused, stopped attacking Taki Nin, turned around and walked away quickly. In the air, Deidara saw Scorpion running and asked in confusion, Brother Scorpion, why are you running? It's just a group of Taki ninjas, how can anyone force you to retreat? Scorpion just shouted, Deidara, go. Deidara sat on Fukuru's back and said, why go away? I'm having fun. Just wait a moment and I'll capture him soon. Shie said, don't catch me. Mizuki is here. If you don't leave, you won't be able to escape. Mizuki. Which Mizuki? Deidara didn't respond. Scorpion stopped paying attention to Deidara and ran away quickly. Deidara also reacted, screamed, and rode Fukuro away quickly. Mizuki was speechless. What are you two running for? I have no plans to do anything to you. Scorpion and Deidara ran away, and Taki Ninja looked at each other, happy but also a little confused. Shibuki looked towards the direction where the heroic water disappeared and murmured, Mizuki. Is that the Mizuki who killed 3rd Hokage and 4th Kage? Why did he take away the hero's water? How could such a powerful person value such a one-time thing with extremely strong side effects? Fu flapped her wings and landed on the ground. Shenmue asked hurriedly, Fu, are you okay? Fu smiled and said, it's okay. Although that guy's ninjutsu is difficult to deal with, my trump cards haven't been used yet. Shenmue frowned and said, do those two people have any grudge against you? Fu shook her head. Shenmue narrowed his eyes and said, since there is no hatred, then it must be for the things in your body. From today on, you should stay in the village and don't come out. Mizuki got the hero's water, and the purpose of this trip has been achieved. He stayed no longer and returned to the country of birds. On the way, he took out the glass bottle and wanted to test the effect of this heroic water. He opened the bottle and took a sip. Boom, chakra is growing violently, but its vitality is being consumed crazily. His appearance was aging at a speed visible to the naked eye, his face was covered with wrinkles, his eyes were dim, and his hair was snow white. Wong Defa. Mizuki's expression changed dramatically. Fortunately, when the chakra stops growing, aging also stops. Not dead. Mizuki trembled and called up the system's property panel. The amount of chakra has changed from 54.8 Kakashi to 548 Kakashi. It has become 10 times the original size. He exudes super strong chakra fluctuations, and even chakra overflows from his body, forming a blue chakra coat around his body. At this moment, Mizuki felt like he had become a god. But looking at the lifespan, it has been reduced from 1,000 years to only 14 years. About 986 years missing. A god who can only live 14 years. This is so exciting. Chakra has increased, and it has increased tenfold, but the price is too high. The increased chakra value and the reduced value of lifespan are in a multiple relationship. Approximately for every 1 additional Kakashi chakra, lifespan is reduced by 2 years. Mizuki's face turned green. He almost killed himself. This thing, the more people drink chakra, the greater the danger. Because there is more chakra, the more chakra will be increased and the lifespan will be reduced even more. If the lifespan is not enough, it will be cold immediately. He hurriedly fell to the ground, his body liquefied, wildly devouring the life force of flowers, plants and trees. Soon, a large tract of woods became a dead ground. Mizuki exited the liquefied state. His gray and dull hair has become smooth and silver again, and the wrinkles on his face have disappeared. The lifespan was all restored and increased to 3,000 years. Mizuki was frightened and swallowed a lot more life force this time to avoid the tightrope walking drama just now. Well, 10 times the chakra, it's not bad. Before he could say the word, good deal, Mizuki's expression changed again. Because he felt that the increased chakra in his body was quickly dissipating. Soon, the 548 calories of chakra returned to the original 54.8 calories. Gift crab. The chakra added by this thing is actually temporary. Lousy. Mizuki really can't complain. I was almost killed by this thing, but as a result, the increased chakra is not permanent, which is ridiculous. That's not right. What I detected in Kakuzu's memory is that the chakra he increased is permanent. Why is this happening? Mizuki frowned. I don't understand. Does it mean that you have to be a ninja from Taki Ninja Village to drink it to permanently enhance the chakra? Or is it that only those who practice earth resentment can permanently improve chakra by drinking it? What is the reason? Mizuki does not know. There is no answer to this part of the doubt in Kakuzu's memory. Forget it, just make it temporary. It doesn't matter to me. So what if it's temporary? I have a system to return it, and I'll make it permanent for you. The godlike experience I had just now, I can't wait for it. After flying to the land of grass, Mizuki landed on the ground and walked instead. The direction of travel was changed to Kusanagi village. He temporarily changed his mind and planned to go to the grass ninja village. When he arrived at Kusanagi village, he found a battle taking place. There were unidentified ninjas attacking the grass ninja village. There were shouts of killing and violent ninjutsu everywhere. There were corpses everywhere, some from ninjas and some from ordinary villagers. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Opposite the great fireball was Jonin, a grass ninja. He ducked away from the great fireball and shouted, "This kind of ninjutsu has no effect on me." But the next moment, he let out a scream. A wind style. The wind blade struck from behind and hit the man's left leg. The wound was deep enough to show the bone. At the moment of life and death, this grass ninja quickly formed seals, which was earth style. Technique hidden in the earth. He dived underground and chakra quickly disappeared. Mizuki had already liquefied through the Tenyu technique and flowed into the ground, shuttled through the soil, following the injured Kusanagi. Somewhere in the village, there was a house. A large number of injured Kusanagi came and entered the house. After a while, they came out again, but their injuries had completely recovered. The Jonin also entered the house, then walked out intact and continued fighting. This is it. The reason why Mizuki came to Kusunin village was for the fragrance. Uzumaki is an orphan of the Uzumaki clan. Although he is not strong, he is a very good auxiliary ninja. She possesses the perception ninjutsu, Kagura Heart's Eye, and can sense chakra with a range of tens of kilometers, which is extremely pervert. Her blood has the ability to heal. No matter how serious the injury is, just drink a sip of her blood and you will be able to recover immediately. There is also the sealing ability of the Uzumaki clan hidden in her body. If it is developed, it will be very powerful. How could Mizuki let such a good candidate for his apprentice go? If you pass by the country of grass, of course you have to visit it. Shang Phosphorus was having a hard time in the country of grass, so it was not difficult to take her away. At this time, several more injured Kusanagi entered the room, but immediately after, shrill screams came from the room. These grass ninjas did not come out. Mizuki noticed something strange. This familiar cold chakra belongs to no one but Orochimaru. As expected, the attack on Kusanagi village was deliberately caused by Orochimaru. The purpose was the same as mine. It was also a phosphorus. During the Konoha Chunin exam, Kusanagi village also participated, including Konoha. Avertisement. Her sensory abilities must have been noticed by Orochimaru at that time. Never doubt Orochimaru's vision. The person he likes is definitely a genius. Inside the room, Orochimaru looked at the red-haired girl huddled in the corner. His unique purple eyeshadow looked very evil. There were several corpses lying on the ground, which were the grass ninjas who came in just now. I'm here to take you away. Your perception is very special. I need you so much. Shang Lu asked with a look of horror on his face. Who are you? This was the man who killed these grass ninjas in just one encounter. Even Jonin had no power to resist. Orochimaru said in a hoarse voice, I am the 5th Hokage of Konoha village, Orochimaru. Fifth Hokage, Orochimaru asked. What do you think, should you follow me, or should you stay here and be the blood medicine of Kusanagi village? Shang Ling said, I'll go with you. She could sense that Orochimaru's chakra was very eerie, like a dark and cold snake cave. A person with such a chakra is definitely not a good person. But so what if he is a bad guy? Are there any good people in Kusanagi village? If you continue to stay here, sooner or later you will bleed to death like your mother did. Following Orochimaru, although the future is unknown, no matter how bad it is, it will not be worse than staying in Kusanagi village. Orochimaru nodded. Then let's go. Shang Ling was about to get up when suddenly she sensed another unfamiliar chakra entering the room. Hey, Orochimaru, you're kidnapping an ignorant girl again. Hearing the familiar voice, Orochimaru's expression changed, but then a smile appeared on his lips. Mizuki-kun, I didn't expect you to be here. Orochimaru turned his head and looked towards the door of the room, only to see a puddle of water flowing into the crack of the door, piling up and transforming into the human form of Mizuki. Water body. Orochimaru was confused. He didn't understand what technique Mizuki used. Mizuki-kun, did you come here specifically to see me? He looked at Mizuki, his expression growing strange. Mizuki-kun, you seem to be getting younger. If I remember correctly, you should be 28 years old, but you look like 18. I feel the charming aura from you, which is the majestic power of life. It seems that Mizuki-kun is also a person who pursues immortality. So, we are still on the same page. Mizuki smiled. Who doesn't want eternal life? Unfortunately, your living corpse reincarnation technique has too many side effects. Although it can keep the body young, the soul is seriously damaged. And the secret technique I have mastered has no side effects at all. You can have eternal life without changing your body. Orochimaru listened and couldn't help but stick out his tongue and lick his lips. Mizuki continued. If you leave Konoha, take the people from Sound Ninja Village, and join me in Phoenix Village, I will give you this secret technique so that you can live forever without side effects like me. Orochimaru looked down and chuckled. If I leave Konoha, why don't you come back to Konoha, Mizuki-kun? I know the injustice done to you by the third generation, but the third generation is dead and now I am Hokage. As long as you come back, I am willing to abdicate immediately and make you the sixth Hokage. Mizuki said. I am not interested in you, and I am even less interested in the position of Hokage. Mizuki's eyes shifted to Shanglin. Orochimaru frowned and his expression became a little ugly. In order to obtain fragrant phosphorus, he did not hesitate to lead people to attack the Grass Ninja Village, which can be said to have paid a huge price. But now Mizuki is here, and the target is also Shang Phosphorus. Orochimaru sighed, but the next moment, an evil smile appeared on his lips. Mizuki's immortality technique, I want it so much. In that case, don't blame me for being rude. As soon as he finished speaking, Mizuki felt his neck being bitten. The familiar binding power of the curse swept through his body again. Behind Mizuki, another Orochimaru appeared at some point, biting Mizuki's neck with his sharp teeth, releasing the power of the curse seal. The Orochimaru in front of him turned into a snake with a bang, and turned out to be a snake clone. The one biting Mizuki's neck is Orochimaru's true form. I'm so lucky. Not only are there Sharingan and Rinnegan, but there is such a huge life force, enough for me to live for thousands of years without aging. This body is definitely the most perfect in the ninja world. It suits me better than Uchiha Sasuke's. Mizuki-kun, from today on, let us become one. While biting Mizuki and not letting go, he performed the Fuzambi turn technique. The white snake sage came out of his mouth and moved towards Mizuki's mouth. Hee. A chuckle, accompanied by the flash of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, everything around him shattered like a bubble. Orochimaru's eyes widened and he stood there with panic on his face. I fell into your illusion. The eye power, such a powerful eye power. He recalled the scene when he was defeated by Uchiha Itachi, how similar it was to today. Mizuki pretended to be cool. Orochimaru, all your actions cannot escape my eyes. Your strength is not worthy of your ambition. I won't kill you, but if you dare to attack me, I won't let you go easily. Aren't you pursuing immortality? Then I'll let you experience the thrill of being chased by a Shinigami with a sickle. The next moment, Mizuki liquefied and penetrated into Orochimaru's body, devouring his life force crazily. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Orochimaru felt that he was aging rapidly. Wrinkles appeared on his face, his silky black hair turned into dry white hair, his body was stooped, and his teeth were falling out. No. Stop quickly. Orochimaru's mentality exploded. He felt like he was going to die. Although the dead can be resurrected, I don't know how long it will take before I have the chance to be resurrected. Last time, Kimimaro died, giving him the chance to be resurrected. I don't know when it will be next time. I can't die. What will happen to Konoha if I die? The position of Hokage will definitely be occupied by mediocrity, and Konoha will decline. Mizuki left Orochimaru's body and returned to human form, looking at the extremely old Orochimaru. I've left you 3 hours to live. If you want to survive, hurry up. Orochimaru asked. What kind of jutsu is this? Where did the life force that was swallowed from my body go? Mizuki smiled. As you guessed, all the life force swallowed from you belongs to me. Your lifespan is reduced, and my lifespan is increased. Orochimaru's eyes, which had become dull due to old age, shone brightly. An emotion called longing amplified infinitely in his heart. I am willing to exchange this secret technique with you using Baki technique. Mizuki smiled and said, I won't change. Plus living corpse reincarnation and Ruchi Cave Senjutsu training method. There is also the method of curse seal. After learning the curse seal, you can be resurrected even if you are killed. Orochimaru fought tooth and nail. Mizuki was indifferent, but looked at Xianglin aside and said, "Come with me." Then he turned and walked towards the door. Xiangling didn't dare to look at Mizuki, but he got up and followed Mizuki. Mizuki didn't kill Orochimaru. Orochimaru is now the 5th Hokage. If he dies, Konoha will definitely choose a new Hokage, and the first target will definitely be Tsunade. When the time comes, Jiraiya will come looking for Tsunade again. If Tsunade relents and agrees to return to Konoha, the Phoenix village will suffer great losses. Therefore, it is better to save Orochimaru's life. Anyway, it won't have any bad impact on myself. Xianglu, are there any relatives or friends of yours in this village? If there are, I can take them with me. Xiang Phosphorus shook his head. I have no friends and my mother is dead. She only has blood-sucking teammates and no friends. Mizuki sighed and said, "Don't be sad, you will have many friends when you get to Phoenix Village." With Xiang Phosphorus, Mizuki soared into the sky. Chapter 81. In the room, Orochimaru, who only has 3 hours left to live, is very uneasy. He must immediately find a new body and undergo living corpse reincarnation. Otherwise, when the 3 hours are up, he will die again. Death is not terrible, he can be resurrected anyway. However, the waiting time for resurrection cannot be determined. It may happen soon, or it may take decades. It would be better to find a new body and seize it. He walked toward the door, and then tragedy struck. He took 2 big steps, moved too hard, and then his leg bone was broken. He, who has always been elegant, couldn't help but want to use swear words at this time. How could he have imagined that this body would be so old? The bones were completely brittle and the movement range could not be extended. This fracture made it even more difficult for him to move. Forget it, let's act like a snake. I saw him open his mouth, and a new Orochimaru came out of his mouth, still white-haired, still wrinkled, and dry, not as slimy as before. Getting old and dry. The difference is that this new body has a snake tail instead of legs. Orochimaru landed on its tail and swam forward, but before it swam twice, the scales on the snake's tail's abdomen fell off in batches. He couldn't help it anymore and started swearing. The movement of snakes depends entirely on the expansion and contraction of the scales on their abdomen, which are equivalent to human feet. Now that the scales have fallen off, Orochimaru has had his legs and feet broken. He didn't give up yet. He couldn't move his lower body, so he put his hands on the ground and slowly moved forward. Crack, broken wrist. He still didn't give up, put his arms and chest on the ground, and used the power of his forearms to move forward. Crack, broken elbow. Gift crab. He lay on the ground, completely in disarray. The horror of aging is vividly reflected at this moment. Orochimaru's desire for eternity began to grow infinitely. What should we do now? Whether it's a human body or a snake body, we have lost the ability to move. If no one comes within 3 hours, wouldn't it be the end of me? Once I die, Danzo will definitely take the opportunity to become the new Hokage. If he really becomes the Hokage, Konoha will be doomed. Orochimaru was worried, but no matter what he thought, he could only wait patiently. Waiting for a destined person. Time passed minute by minute. 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye, but Orochimaru felt like 10 years had passed. The wait is always long. Finally, footsteps sounded outside the door. Orochimaru was overjoyed, thinking that the opportunity had come. But the footsteps were just passing by, and soon they were gone again. Half an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. No one has come. The reason is that when Mizuki left with the phosphorus, he did not hide it and flew away from the sky. This resulted in Kusaku ninja leaving after seeing Karin. Therefore, no matter who is injured, they will not come here to look for fragrant phosphorus. Seeing that 3 hours were approaching, Orochimaru felt that Shinigami was waving to him. "I'll kill you." At this moment, slow footsteps approached and an old voice sounded. "I just saw from the window that the red-haired little girl was taken away. She must still have food and money at home, and we can't waste it. The enemies are fighting at the entrance of the village. It's safe here." The next moment, an old lady in her 70s and 80s on a cane opened the door and looked right into Orochimaru's eyes. 2 swallowing sounds sounded at the same time. Mizuki returned to Phoenix Village and found that everything was safe and sound. The construction of Fenghuang village has begun to take shape. Around Fengying Tower, hospitals, schools, commercial streets, squares, parks, residential areas, etc. have been built around it. The construction radius has exceeded 300 meters. The layout of the village is also set in the shape of 8 trigrams. Mizuki plans to turn Phoenix Village into a standard 8 trigrams village. Ninjas are basically practicing, but of course there are exceptions. Tsunade is addicted to gambling and can't help herself. She won't stop until she loses hundreds of thousands of taels every day. Zabuza searched for orphans everywhere and brought them back to Phoenix Village. He paid people to take care of these orphans and planned to build an orphanage in the village. Naruto has perfected the shadow clone technique, a shuriken. With nothing to do, he helps move wood and contributes to the construction of Phoenix Village. Seeing that Naruto's training progressed so quickly, Sasuke's face was expressionless. But when he was practicing alone, he would often say something like, "I'm not even as good as the tail of a crane." He would even kneel on the ground, beat the ground crazily, and roar with his head raised. Sai, who likes to hide in the woods and draw, saw these and drew them all in his album, and shared them with his brother Shin. Hey, poor baby, she was tricked like this. When Mizuki flew back to Fenghuang village with Xianglin, he saw Sai and Shin on the roof of Fengying Tower, pointing at the scene in the painting. With the addition of Uzumaki, the population of Phoenix Village has grown again. After gathering everyone together and introducing Xianglin, Mizuki asked Sasuke to stay. Sasuke, I know you want to become stronger quickly, but I need to remind you that haste makes waste. Sasuke frowned and murmured, haste makes waste. Mizuki explained, the efficiency of people's work has a very important relationship with their mentality. The more you want to accomplish something, the more urgent your mentality will be, and people will appear anxious, restless, or even manic. As a result, the efficiency of doing things will be greatly reduced. Mizuki said seriously, Sasuke, you are too anxious. Your qualifications are better than Naruto's. Your ability to understand, learn, and think are all better than Naruto's. But your training speed is not as fast as Naruto's, and that's why. Sasuke became even more anxious when he heard this. He said loudly, I can't be like Naruto, carefree and smiling all day long. When I think about the tragic situation of the Uchiha clan being wiped out, I can't calm down. His face became ferocious, his eyes automatically turned red, and 2 Magatama appeared. I want to become stronger quickly. I want revenge, I can't wait to kill Danzo now, I can't wait to destroy Konoha immediately. Sasuke's hatred for Danzo and Konoha has far exceeded his previous hatred for Uchiha Itachi. Mizuki sighed and said, if you want to become stronger, there is nothing you can do. The one-tail Shukaku in Gaara's body, I will pull it out after a while and seal it into your body. Becoming a Jinchuriki, your chakra will be greatly increased and your strength will be enhanced. And as a member of the Uchiha clan, you can use Sharingan Genjutsu to control Shukaku without fear of its backlash. After hearing this, Sasuke was overjoyed and said, thank you so much, master. Mizuki said, tisk tisk tisk, in his heart. Sasuke, this kid, has never been called master, except when he became a disciple for the first time. Today is really unprecedented. At this time, Mizuki took out a small test tube of hero water, about the size of a mouthful. Take this thing, it may be useful to you in the future. Sasuke asked, what is this? Is it a potion to drink? Mizuki said, this stuff is poisonous, so you must not drink it. Even if you drink it, it will be given to Shukaku after you become one-tail Jinchuriki and when you encounter an invincible enemy. At this time, Gaara, who had just left the Hoei Tower and was talking to Naruto, felt Shukaku shudder in his body. Sasuke took the hero's water and put it away in the storage ring. Okay, go ahead and practice. Remember what I said, haste makes waste. Watching Sasuke leave, Mizuki's eyes were filled with anticipation. Ding, the system's sound indeed rang. Host grants disciple Uchiha Sasuke a sip of heroic water, triggering a 3037 times return. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the Water of Heroes. Water of the Hero. Mizuki was stunned for a moment. What the hell is this name? The system introduced. Water of Heroes. Take a sip, and the chakra capacity will be permanently increased, with a minimum increase of 10 times and a maximum of 50 times. The more original chakra, the smaller the improvement. Tip: no side effects. A permanent improvement that makes Mizuki very happy. The last sentence had no side effects and made Mizuki laugh wildly. Ha 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 ha. This was what he was waiting for. Definitely worthy of the word hero. The original version is called Hero's Water because drinking it will reduce your vitality. If your vitality is reduced, you will die easily. Those who sacrifice themselves heroically regardless of their own lives are not heroes. It was returned by the system. There will be no side effects after drinking it, and you will not die. It was named the water of the hero by the system, so there is nothing wrong with it. The one who becomes the ultimate winner is the hero. A test tube appeared in Mizuki's hand, containing a blue potion. Without hesitation, he unplugged the test tube and drank it in one gulp without wasting a drop. Boom! The chakra inside his body began to increase violently, and even overflowed outside his body, forming a blue coat of chakra on his body. Around him, the air was moved by chakra, forming a whirlwind. His hair and kakuzu floated as if they had escaped the gravity of the earth. The powerful momentum spread out, and everyone felt it. Even ordinary people who were engaged in construction felt the depressing atmosphere. So strong. Sasuke had just walked out of Fengying Tower. He was the closest and had the clearest feelings. He even felt as if there was a mountain pressing on his back, making him breathless. Naruto and Gaara also looked towards the Phoenix Tower, and the 9 tails and 1 tail in their bodies also opened their eyes. Such a huge chakra, more than my chakra, what kind of monster is that Mizuki? Shukaku screamed inside Gaara. 9 tails sneered, let out a breath from his nostrils, and closed his eyes again. In the dark sealed space, a contemptuous voice sounded, that's it, it's far worse than me. In the Phoenix Tower, Mizuki's chakra capacity stopped growing. All the uncontrolled chakra that spilled out of the body regained control and was taken back into the body. His aura subsided and he became like an ordinary person again. Open the properties panel to see that the chakra capacity has changed from 55 Kakashi to 550 Kakashi. If Kakashi knew about it, he would probably be so jealous that he would faint in the toilet from crying. Is it only a tenfold improvement? But that's enough. The vitality is sufficient, the chakra is sufficient, and the basic conditions of the Rinne Tensei technique have been met. It's time to prepare for the resurrection of Nawaki and Kato Dan. So, Mizuki sent Naruto to the capital of Bird Country to call Tsunade back. Naruto's Flying Thunder God technique makes him extremely fast. Look at him, he threw a kunai, and the kunai flew hundreds of meters in the blink of an eye. At this time, Naruto appeared next to the kunai through the Flying Thunder God, reached out to grab the kunai, and threw it forward again. After the kunai flew hundreds of meters, he moved to the side of the kunai again with Flying Thunder God. Ninjas are physically stronger than ordinary people, and they can throw kunai extremely fast. As soon as the kunai is released, its speed can reach hundreds of meters per second. Due to air resistance, the kunai's speed will decrease during flight. But with the streamlined design of kunai, although the speed is reduced, it is not reduced by much. On average, it takes less than 1.5 seconds for a kunai to fly 100 meters. Including the time spent waving his arms when throwing the kunai, in total, Naruto can move about 50 meters per second with the Flying Thunder God technique. Not fast enough. Naruto was still not satisfied, so he took out his second special kunai. 2 kunai, number 1 and number 2, are thrown out one after another, number 1 in front and number 2 in the back. When kunai number 1 flew about 100 meters, kunai number 2 flew 50 meters. At this time, Naruto activated Flying Thunder God, came to kunai number 2, grabbed kunai number 2 and threw it forward. Then he flew to kunai number 1, grabbed kunai number 1 and threw it forward. At this time, kunai number 2 flew forward again. Naruto dodged to kunai number 2 again, grabbed kunai number 2 and threw it forward. Just like that, number 1 threw number 2, number 2 finished number 1, and Naruto moved forward quickly. While throwing one kunai, another kunai was still flying. In this way, the time spent waving his arms was no longer wasted, and Naruto's movement speed reached its maximum. Every second, it advances approximately 70 meters. It can be said that as fast as kunai can fly, his speed is as fast as it can be. His father used to be the fastest man in the ninja world, and now, that title belongs to him. Of course, you have to be careful with this approach. After all, when you dodge to a kunai, another kunai will fly from behind and pierce yourself accidentally, which would be funny. In addition, this method of advancement is very labor-intensive, and it can easily become handicapped if used too much. I have to say that Naruto's mind is very flexible at certain times. Flashing and flashing, Naruto was dissatisfied again. He thought, could it be faster? He stopped, thought for a moment, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Got an idea. Hey, I saw him looking around and found a bamboo forest. He went to chop down a bamboo and cut off the branches. Then a special kunai was tied to the top of the bamboo, while he held the bottom of the bamboo in his hand. He held the bamboo, which was almost 5 meters long, pointing straight ahead like a spear. The kunai is at the top of the bamboo, 5 meters away from me. As soon as I use the Flying Thunder God technique, I will teleport to the kunai's location. The kunai is tied to the bamboo, and the bamboo is held in my hand. My position moves forward 5 meters, and the bamboo and kunai will also move forward 5 meters. In this way, I can use Flying Thunder God continuously to move forward. Although I only move forward 5 meters each time, Flying Thunder God is instant. I have tried it before and it can flash 30 times in 1 second, which means it can move forward 150 meters in 1 second. After calculating the forward speed, Naruto was overjoyed. You can also change to longer bamboo in the future, and the progress will be faster. Naruto clenched the bamboo in his hand, and the next moment, Flying Thunder God activated. The next moment, he appeared at the location of the special kunai, and the bamboo in his hand also moved forward 5 meters. Yeah, it sure works. Naruto was very happy, but the next moment, he saw something strange. The kunai tied to the top of the bamboo flickered wildly between its original position and its current position. The more it flashes, the lighter the color of the kunai becomes, until finally, the kunai disappears completely. How could this happen? Naruto's eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. He is not Sister Lee. So, he took out a new kunai and repeated his old trick. Then the same scene appeared again, the kunai flickered one after another until it finally disappeared. Once is a coincidence. If it happens twice, there must be other problems. But why is this? He was puzzled and could only put it down for the time being, planning to ask Mizuki when he returned to the village. Inside Naruto, Ninetales opened his eyes. This kid has more weird ideas than Kushina and Minato. I really don't know how his brain grows. Ninetales were shocked by Naruto's fantastic idea. Having lived for thousands of years, it had never seen anything weird, but Naruto's weird behavior just now was something it could never have imagined. Relying on 2 kunai, Naruto reached the capital of Bird Country as quickly as possible and found Tsunade in the casino. Naruto, why are you here? Shizune asked. Naruto said, Master Mizuki is back and calls Granny Tsunade back to the village. Oh, by the way, Master also brought back a red-haired girl named Uzumaki Koro. She has the same last name as me. She is a very timid girl and a bit of a nymphomaniac. Shizune asked curiously, why do you say she is a nymphomaniac? Naruto pouted. TCH, she kept peeking at Sasuke and her face turned red. She's either a nympho or something. Little Sakura never looked at Sasuke like that before. Shizune, she was peeking at Sasuke, how did you find out? Are you peeking at her? Naruto said loudly. I didn't, I just looked at it openly. At this time, Tsunade slammed the table and shouted, Shut up, you are so noisy and interrupt my train of thought. Naruto curled his lips and said, TCH, it doesn't matter whether you have the same idea or not, you will lose anyway. Okay, Granny Tsunade, stop playing and go back to the village. Tsunade said irritably. Wait a minute, I'll finish this game first. Soon, Tsunade lost, but he still wanted to try again. Shizune said, Tsunade-sama, Hokage-sama must be looking for you for that matter. Let's go back first. Tsunade's expression changed and he said, okay, let's go back. 3 people and 1 pig left the casino and returned to Fengwang village. Halfway through, Naruto said, Grandma Tsunade, I think you should learn to smoke. Tsunade raised an eyebrow and said, "Why? Naruto, look, when gambling, one foot is on the table and a cigarette is hanging from the corner of the mouth. Just think about it, Haki." Shizune on the side automatically imagined that scene, and then his whole body felt bad. Hey, Piglet Dolphin also expressed his speechlessness. Tsunade's eyes lit up and he said, "Yes, why didn't I think of it before?" Naruto said happily, "My suggestion is good, isn't it? Haki's appearance will definitely frighten other gamblers and scare them away along with their luck. When the time comes, everyone else will lose and you will win." The more Naruto spoke, the brighter Tsunade's eyes lit up. "Shizune, turn back immediately and buy me a pack of cigarettes. Don't forget the lighter. From today on, I will learn to smoke." Shizune. "Tsunade-sama, smoking is harmful to health and has a great impact on the trachea and lungs. I think it's better to stop smoking." Tsunade. "It doesn't matter. I'm a medical ninja. Don't worry about being unhealthy." Tsunade-sama, "Smoking will turn your teeth yellow and affect your beauty." Feeling. "It doesn't matter, I am a medical ninja, I can prepare high-efficiency toothpaste, and I am not afraid of yellow teeth." Tsunade-sama, "Smoking is prohibited in the casino." Tsunade. "I will discuss with the boss tomorrow and change the rules." Tsunade-sama. Tsunade said angrily, "You are done or not, just do as I say." Naruto said, "I'd better go, I'm fast." In Fengiying Tower, when Mizuki saw Tsunade walking into the office with a cigarette hanging from the corner of his mouth, puffing away, he couldn't help but twitching in the corners of his eyes. What happened? How did Tsunade become a chain smoker? Ahem, smoking makes your breath bad. Aren't you afraid that Kato-dan will dislike you after he is resurrected? Mizuki couldn't help it anymore and said. Tsunade smoked for a moment, then continued, not taking Mizuki's words to heart at all. "I'm a medical ninja. I can prepare medicine to clear up bad breath." Mizuki. He didn't care. The basic conditions for resurrecting Nawaki and Kato-dan have been met. The next step is to go to Konoha and bring their life materials back to resurrect them. Although Rinne Tensai can resurrect the dead, she cannot resurrect people out of thin air. Nagato was able to resurrect people in Konoha because he chose not to resurrect a single person, but circled the entire Konoha village and resurrected all the people who had just died. Black Zetsu can use the Rinne Tensai technique to resurrect Madara because he knows Madara's special skills, and knows Madara's location. Mizuki doesn't know Nawaki and Kato-dan, so he can't resurrect people with just 2 names. Therefore, Mizuki needs Nawaki and Zan's life matter, which is part of their bodies, so that they can be resurrected. You tell me where they are buried and I will go get them. I am fast. Tsunade nodded and told Mizuki the details of where Nawaki and Dan were buried. At this moment, Naruto intervened. "Master, can you resurrect my father and mother too? They died so young." Mizuki nodded and said, "All right." So, Mizuki, who had just returned to the village, set off again. Looking at Mizuki flying away in the air, Tsunade, Shizune, and Naruto all had their eyes filled with anticipation. They look forward to the resurrection of their loved ones. Outside Konoha village, Mizuki was hanging in the air, looking at the Hokage rock being restored in the distance. After falling to the ground, he did not enter the village immediately. A corpse was taken out from the storage ring, which was Chun's corpse. Heretic. Rinne Tensai technique. The corpse was surrounded by green light, the air of death dissipated, life reappeared, and the cold corpse became warm. The green light dissipated and Tsubaki opened his eyes. "She is alive." Mizuki smiled and asked, "Tsubaki, how do you feel?" Chun wondered. "This is not a pure land. Why am I here? I'm obviously dead." Mizuki explained. "You are indeed dead. I used ninjutsu to resurrect you." Tsubaki didn't look happy, but looked at Mizuki and asked, "Who are you?" Mizuki frowned, wondering if he had lost his memory. "I'm Mizuki, don't you remember me?" Tsubaki shook his head and said, "You are not Mizuki, or in other words, you are not the real Mizuki. The real Mizuki is already dead." Mizuki sighed. Sure enough, she had seen the dead Mizuki in the Pure Land and knew that the real Mizuki was dead and the living one was just a fake Mizuki. Mizuki had expected all of this. This is why he did not choose to resurrect Chun in Phoenix Village. Because Mizuki knew that after Tsubaki was resurrected, he knew that he was not the real Mizuki and would probably choose not to stay in Phoenix Village. Now that you know, what are your plans? Go back to Konoha to expose my identity? Or do you want to take the initiative to return to the Pure Land? When he first traveled through time, Mizuki was afraid that his identity would be exposed. At that time, he was too weak and would die if he was not careful. But now, he is afraid. Besides, Tsubaki only knows that he is a fake Mizuki, but does not know his identity as a time traveler, so there is no need to worry at all. Chun glanced at Mizuki's forehead, but did not see the forehead protector, and asked, "Did you defect to Konoha?" Mizuki nodded and said, "I established a new ninja village in the land of birds." Chun said, "It is impossible to return to the Pure Land. The world of the living is more exciting after all. How can I take the initiative to go back after finally being resurrected? As for Konoha, no more. When the root leader Danzo used me to kill you, I was completely disappointed in Konoha." Mizuki asked, "So, do you plan to go back to Phoenix Village with me?" "No, I love the real Mizuki, not you. You killed Mizuki and took over Mizuki's appearance. I don't know how to deal with you. I wish I could kill you, but I know I can't." In Tsubaki's eyes, Mizuki felt murderous intent and powerlessness. If it weren't for her lack of strength, she might have launched an attack. Mizuki said calmly, "In that case, you can do whatever you want." At this point, there is nothing left to say. As she said, the real Mizuki was killed by herself, although the root cause was caused by time travel. She wanted to kill the fake Mizuki in front of her, of course. As for Mizuki, he wouldn't leave someone who wants to kill him at all times. Although he knew that she couldn't kill him, it would not be good for anyone to keep someone who hated him by his side. After thinking for a while, he took out a seal scroll and threw it over. "Originally, you would have lived a good life in Konoha. After all, it was me who brought you to this point. This seal scroll contains something to compensate you. Goodbye." After Mizuki finished speaking, he paraded away and didn't stay for a moment. There is a lot of money in the seal scroll, enough for Chun to live in anonymity and live a prosperous life. There are also some ninjutsu training scrolls. If she wants to build a ninja family, that's no problem. After this separation, the two have no further relationship. Chun took the sealing scroll, jumped onto the tree, glanced at Konoha village in the distance, and turned away resolutely. To Konoha, she was already a dead person. As long as she didn't be too high profile, Konoha wouldn't notice her and wouldn't treat her as a wanted traitor. Go to a small country, keep a low profile, and she can live a comfortable life. Mizuki arrived at the entrance of Konoha village and walked through the door with a swagger just like last time. It was late in the evening, and the ninja guarding the gate was trapped in illusions throughout the whole process, and had no idea that someone with bad intentions was intruding. Mizuki used the transformation technique to change his body shape and appearance, went to eat a bowl of Ichiraku ramen, and after dark, he headed to Konoha Cemetery. I, the leader of a dignified village, have even done tomb robbing in order to strengthen Fengwang village. There is no dedicated village leader in the world who cares about the village as much as I do. In the past, no one guarded the tombs in the cemetery, because the corpses of ninjas had been processed, and even if they were stolen, no useful information could be obtained. Moreover, there are no burial objects after the death of ninjas, so no one would be stupid enough to rob these poor tombs. But since the third generation knew that Orochimaru would impure world reincarnation, they arranged for tomb guards. To this day, there are people guarding the tomb. They hide in the dark and monitor everything in the cemetery. Easily lulling these gravekeepers into fantasy, Mizuki walked into the cemetery. Shadow clone technique. Bang! Dozens of shadow clones appear. Go and find the tombs of Nawaki, Kato Dan, the fourth generation couple, and the Uchiha Tamagotchi couple, and take out some of their bones. You can also take the bones of other people, such as Hatake Sakumo, Lin, Uruka's parents, Hyuga Hazashi. Anyway, take some of them if you think they are useful. Now that you are here, take them all away at once. No matter whether you use it or not, just take it and tell it, maybe it will come in handy at some point. When the shadow clones dispersed and found a suitable candidate, they did not need to dig graves. They directly activated the secret technique of heavenly resentment drilled into the graves along the soil, and collected some bones. It doesn't need to be much, even a hair will do. Soon, the collection of bones was completed, and each person's bones were stored separately and labeled to indicate their identity to avoid confusion. When the shadow clone was released, Mizuki received a large amount of memory information, and for a while, his mind was filled with rotting bones. The huge impact of memory made him frown. I don't know how Naruto managed to survive the thousands of shadow clones he had after being released. It has to be said that the Uzumaki clan's physique is indeed powerful. Very resistant. After the discomfort passed, Mizuki discovered some abnormalities in the memories of these shadow clone. Many people's graves were opened not long ago, and their bones were also touched. It's Orochimaru's fault. He relies heavily on impure world reincarnation. Mizuki didn't care, turned around and walked out of the cemetery. At this moment, someone walked into the cemetery, walked to a tombstone in a familiar way, and stood quietly in front of the tombstone. Mizuki saw clearly from the side that the person coming was none other than Hyuga Neji. The tomb in front of him is the burial place of his father, Hyuga Hazashi. Father, today I am training with Miss Hinata, but I can't help but feel murderous intention. The patriarch noticed it immediately and used caged bird to make me miserable. Although I read the letter you left for me and know that you voluntarily died on behalf of the clan leader, I still cannot forgive you. I know that you want to use death to get rid of curse mark, caged bird. I also want to get rid of caged bird, but I don't want to die because I want revenge. I want to change Hyuga, change Konoha, and change the entire ninja world. I believe that I will be able to get rid of caged bird's control, and I will work hard for it throughout my life. Without Naruto's words, Neji would still be the rebellious boy he was. And this is really what Mizuki wants to see. Young man, if you want to get rid of caged bird, I can help you. Who? Neji was shocked and immediately opened his eyes, but saw no one. He was shocked. The voice was clearly in his ears, but why was there no one there? Is there a ghost? The next moment, a pool of water emerged from the ground, quickly rose up, and turned into a person. It's you. Neji recognized Mizuki immediately. Facing the Konoha S-class rebellious nin who killed the third Hokage and the fourth Kazekage, Neji felt neither fear nor disgust. Because he has no sense of belonging to Konoha and hates the third generation even more. Because it was the cowardice of the third generation that led to the death of his father, he has no hatred for Mizuki, a rebellious ninja. I heard everything you said, but I'm sorry to tell you that you can never undo caged bird on your own. Neji asked. You said you could help me, how could you help me? Mizuki's right eye turned into a Rinnegan and said, the Rinnegan has a pupil technique called the Rinne Tensai technique, which can resurrect the dead. The curse mark, caged bird on Hyuga branch house's forehead will be activated at the moment of death, destroying the Byakugan, and then the caged bird will become ineffective. I can resurrect the dead Hyuga branch house, and then get rid of the control of caged bird. Neji asked again, why should I trust you? As he spoke, his eyes glanced at Hazashi's tombstone. Mizuki saw his little thought, smiled lightly and said, I can resurrect your father, but I will not help you unconditionally. As long as you can resurrect my father and help me disable caged bird, I will give everything for you. Giving everything. It's not that serious. What I like is your qualifications. I have only one condition. You betray Konoha, join Phoenix Village and become my disciple. Neji frowned. Is it that simple? Mizuki said, it's that simple. Neji said without hesitation. I promise you, no matter what your purpose is, I promise you. Mizuki took out Hazashi's life substance, a hair, and placed it on the ground. Heretic. Rinne Tensai technique. A rich green light enveloped the hair. The light was so dazzling that even Neji's white eyes couldn't see clearly what was happening in the green light. But when the green light dissipated, Neji saw the figure with the attribute in his memory. Father. Hyuga Hazashi looked at Neji with a sad face and said, I didn't expect you to come to the Pure Land at such a young age. Mizuki. This is not a Pure Land, you have been resurrected by me. Not the Pure Land. I'm resurrected. How is this possible? Hazashi looked around quickly and realized that he was really resurrected. But Neji saw that the curse mark, caged bird, was still there on the son's forehead. Didn't you say that death can remove the caged bird? Why is the caged bird on my father's forehead still there? Before Mizuki could speak, Hazashi explained, Neji, this caged bird is no longer effective. The moment I die, caged bird, is lifted. After speaking, he turned to look at Mizuki and said, I don't know what your purpose is in resurrecting me, but if you want to use this to deal with the Hyuga clan, I will never agree. Mizuki, you don't know a good person's heart. If it weren't for Neji, Lousy would be blind before resurrecting you. I resurrected you for Neji and it has nothing to do with the Hyuga family. Mizuki said bluntly. Neji is extremely talented, and we in Phoenix Village need talents like him. I will take him out of Konoha, accept him as my disciple, and teach him to become stronger. Hazashi breathed a sigh of relief and said immediately, I think I understand your intention. You have the ability to resurrect the dead. You plan to let Neji die first, and then resurrect him after the caged bird fails, so that he can escape the fate of the branch house. At this point, Hazashi fell silent. After a while, he sighed and said, I have already died once. Although I am Neji's father, I will not make decisions for him. Neji said, Father, we are together. Hazashi did not agree immediately, but looked at Mizuki and asked, do you have the ability to protect Byakugan from being taken away by other countries? As soon as he finished speaking, veins popped up in the corners of Hazashi's eyes. He actually opened his Byakugan and looked into Mizuki's body. How is this possible with such a huge chakra? He was stunned by the huge amount of chakra in Mizuki's body. Mizuki saw his expression and was not surprised. I can only guarantee that people from other countries will not break into my village and take away Byakugan. If you go out and I'm not nearby, you have to rely on yourself. Of course, if any country dares to take away your Byakugan, then I will go to that country and take back the Byakugan. Hazashi's eyes were dull and he murmured, that's enough. That's enough. Someone with this kind of chakra is definitely a super strong person. At first, Hiyashi's eyes were almost sent away by third generation. At the end of the Third Ninja War, Cloud Shinobi sent a team of peace envoys to Konoha to sign an armistice agreement with Konoha. But Cloud Shinobi's purpose is not a truce, but a blind eye. At night, a Cloud Shinobi sneaked into the Hyuga tribe and kidnapped Hinata, but was killed by Hyuga Hiyashi. After the death of the peace envoy, Cloud Shinobi immediately refused to sign the armistice agreement and threatened Konoha to hand over the murderer, who was Hyuga Hiyashi. The purpose is to get Hiyashi's eyes rolled. What's ridiculous is that third generation actually agreed to Cloud Shinobi's request and persuaded Hiyashi to die voluntarily to calm the anger of Cloud Shinobi village. In order to end the war as soon as possible and for the sake of peace and stability, please put the overall situation first. At the critical moment, Hazashi stood up and died in Hiyashi's place, and his body was taken to Cloud Shinobi village. Halfway through, Cloud Shinobi discovered that his Byakugan had been destroyed by Curse Mark, Caged Bird, and threw his body in anger. The cowardice of the third generation has created this tragedy. So Hazashi knew clearly that Konoha could not protect Byakugan. This is why he asked if Mizuki could protect Byakugan. In that case, I am willing to go with you. For Konoha, for Hyuga, he had died once. Now that he is resurrected, he no longer owes Konoha or Hyuga anything. He didn't have any psychological burden of leaving Konoha and Hyuga. Let's go. At night, the three of them left the cemetery and walked towards the entrance of Konoha village. Mizuki took out a hat and asked Hazashi to put it on his head to cover his face. As for myself and Neji, there was no cover-up. As they walked, Neji told Hazashi what had happened in Konoha in recent years. Hearing that Orochimaru was the fifth Hokage, Hazashi was even more grateful that he had made the right choice. Arriving at the gate of Konoha in a swagger, Mizuki glanced sideways. The ninjas guarding the gate immediately fell into the illusion, standing there with fear on their faces, unable to move. Hazashi has a better understanding of Mizuki's strength. The three of them left in a grand manner. Only after they were far away did the ninja guarding the door get rid of the control of the illusion. Quickly, go report to 5th Hokage. The rebel ninja Mizuki broke into Konoha and took Hyuga Neji away. There is also an unidentified ninja wearing a hat. Ninja defection is no small matter. The news was quickly reported to the Hokage building, but Orochimaru was not there. Soon the Hyuga family learned about Neji's defection, and Might Guy was also notified. Soon, the news spread throughout Konoha. Everyone was in an uproar. Someone from Hyuga branch house defected. This is definitely the funniest joke today. Who doesn't know that the Hyuga clan has curse mark, caged bird? Even if they defect to an alien planet, the clan can kill the defector by activating caged bird. Therefore, no one in the Hyuga family ever defected, because defecting meant death. Now that Hyuga Neji has defected, everyone's first reaction is of course disbelief. Even Danzo's first reaction when he heard the news was that his ninjas were playing tricks on him. But soon, the news was confirmed, and Danzo had to believe it even if he didn't believe it. He immediately came to Hyuga's house and found Hyuga Hiyashi. Hyuga Neji followed the rebel nin Mizuki and left the village. The news has been confirmed. It can be confirmed that Neji has defected and chose to go to Phoenix Village. Such a traitor cannot be allowed to continue living in the ninja world. I order you to activate Curse Mark, Caged Bird immediately and kill Neji. Of course Hyuga Hiyashi was unwilling to be ordered to kill his own nephew. Even if the relationship is not good, they are still my relatives. Danzo-sama, Neji has left Konoha, but whether he defected or not remains to be confirmed. Besides, Neji is young. Even if he defected, it was because he was bewitched by Mizuki. We need to give young people a chance to change their ways. So I think sending a ninja team to recover Neji is the most important thing at the moment. Danzo snorted coldly. Why, don't you even listen to my orders? Hiyashi said. It's not that I don't listen, but killing the ninjas in the village requires Master Hokage's personal approval. If we kill Neji rashly, we won't be able to bear this responsibility when Lord Hokage comes back. Danzo shouted. Every rebel ninja will be punished, just do it, I will explain it to the 5th generation. Hiyashi. Can't do it. If Lord Danzo feels that Neji must die, then please send your own rude ninjas to hunt him down. I won't take action until 5th Hokage gives the order. You. Danzo's breath hitched. Uncle, let me send Genbu to chase and kill you, you can say this. With Mizuki here, no matter where you go, you will be killed. You think I am stupid? 5th generation Mead Village has implemented a secret plan. Now Konoha is in charge of me. My orders are the highest orders and you must execute them. Danzo started to use force to suppress Hiyashi. Hiyashi did not show weakness and said, 5th generation is not here, there are still 2 consultants in the village, and Lord Jiraiya. The meaning is very straightforward. You said that Konoha is yours to decide. Who do you think you are? After all, the Hyuga clan is also the most wealthy family in Konoha, and they are still able to resist the powerful. It can be seen from the lack of a white eye at the root that Hyuga has never been weak. Danzo's face darkened, he turned around and left angrily. Hiyashi stared at Danzo with blank eyes until he saw Danzo leave the Hyuga tribe. HMPH, you are an old dog who bullies the weak and fears the strong. He still wants to ride on my Hyuga family's head and poop and piss, without even looking at his own virtues. Everyone used to let you go because of the 3rd generation Sasuke. Now that the 3rd generation is dead, you are nothing. Danzo left the Hyuga tribe angrily, cursing as he walked. Orochimaru, he went to the grass ninja village to cause trouble, why didn't he come back for so long? And the Hyuga clan, sooner or later you will be the same as the Uchiha clan. The 3 of Mizuki left Konoha and headed west. In the dark night, walking on the forest path, the surroundings are very quiet. Suddenly, a shrill meow sounded. Hazashi immediately opened his Byakugan and looked towards the place where the cry came from. He had just been resurrected and was full of curiosity and freshness about everything around him. There was some disturbance, and he wanted to take a look. After reading it, he still wanted to sigh. What an awesome cat. In his field of vision, a fat orange cat with a bow on his head was fighting with a python as thick as a bull. Logically speaking, a cat should have no chance of winning against such a big snake. But the result was beyond Hazashi's expectation. The cat was extremely flexible and moved very fast. The cat easily dodged every attack from the snake. However, the snake cannot dodge the cat's attack. I saw it leaping into the air, flashing in front of the snake's head, adjusting its body shape, shooting out more than a dozen claws in 1 second, and firing its bow left and right, making a snap sound when it hit the snake's head. By the time the cat landed, the python had already been beaten unconscious. This is no ordinary cat, this is a ninja cat. Hazashi saw chakra inside the cat. Seeing that Hazashi was looking at it with enthusiasm, Neji was so curious that he rolled his eyes and looked over. Hey, isn't this the pet cat of the Daming Lady? After the Daming Lady died, it should have been taken back to the Daming Mansion by the Daming. Why is it here? It didn't have chakra before, but now it does. What's going on? Mizuki also showed interest. The name of Mrs. Dai Ming's cat is Xiaohu, if I remember correctly. A ninja cat with chakra. Well, I remember that the Uchiha clan has a close relationship with the Ninja Cat clan. Why don't you take this cat back and give it to Sasuke? Maybe you can return a useful summoning mon. There are only 3 powerful summoning beasts in the ninja world. But Mizuki doesn't like it. In fact, the beast path in Rinnegan's 6 paths can summon Rinnegan's exclusive summoning beast, such as chameleons, hellhounds, rhinos, etc. But Mizuki is not interested in those summoning beasts. They are not powerful and cannot compare to the toads of Mount Myoboku. If you want to get the powerful summoning beast, you must either go through the 3 holy places or return it through the system. Compared with the 3 holy places, system returns are uncertain, but the upper limit is definitely higher. Sasuke will probably like this cat. Mizuki raised his hand and shouted, "Universal pull." As soon as he finished speaking, a fat orange with a bow on its head flew out of the forest. It was confused and didn't know why it was flying in the air. The next moment, it fell into Mizuki's hands. Meow. With a shrill roar, the cat's claws scratched Mizuki's handsome face. Be honest with me. Mizuki grabbed the cat by the scruff of the neck. Be honest now. The group continued westward and disappeared into the night. After a while, a python as thick as a bull emerged from the grass on the roadside. It was the unlucky snake that was bullied by the cat just now. It glanced at the direction Mizuki and others left, then turned and swam towards Konoha. Outside Konoha village, the python stopped and opened its mouth. A dry hand stretched out, then an arm, a head, and a body. This is a toothless old woman in her late 70s, but her pupils are snake-like vertical ones, and she looks very cold-blooded. Finally back. The hoarse voice was highly recognizable. Anyone who has heard this voice will never forget it. Orochimaru. He encountered Mizuki in Kusakunin village and was drained of his life force, leaving him with only 3 hours left to live. He was not in a hurry at that time, he just needed to wait for a suitable person to take his body. But I waited and waited, but no one came. Just when 3 hours were about to pass and his life was about to come to an end, an old woman finally entered the house. Better to die than live. Although Orochimaru disliked the old woman for being too old, in order to avoid death, he could only use the living corpse reincarnation technique on the old woman. At any rate, I can still survive for a few more years. You only need to wait 3 years for the living corpse reincarnation to cool down, and you can regain your youthful body. So, he became what he is now. He glanced westward and murmured. Mizuki actually came to Konoha and took away Hyuga Neji, the genius of the Hyuga family. Doesn't he know that the Hyuga family has curse mark, caged bird? And the man who covered his face, I seem to hear Hyuga Neji calling his father. Hyuga Hazashi, didn't you die a few years ago? Could it be that Mizuki also mastered the reanimation jutsu? But why did I feel the heat in that person that only a living person can have? Snakes sense heat extremely sensitively and unerringly. This also resulted in Orochimaru being unable to figure it out. He was familiar with impure world reincarnation. People who came out of impure world reincarnation were still dead and their bodies were cold. Hyuga Neji recognized his godfather. Hyuga Hazashi is not dead. Or is Hyuga Hazashi resurrected from the dead? Orochimaru had various guesses in his mind, but they were limited to guesses. He didn't know what the truth was. We must investigate clearly. It's not too late to send people back to the village now. He walked towards the entrance of the village, and at the same time reached out to his face, grabbed the skin and pulled it down, revealing the pale skin underneath. In just a few steps, he transformed from a stooped old woman into a young Orochimaru. Of course, he only looks young on the outside, but in fact, his body is still that of an old woman, old and decayed, and he dare not walk fast. He returned to Konoha and entered the Hokage's office. Danzo came to find him immediately. Orochimaru, as the 5th Hokage, you don't take charge of the overall situation in the village, but you leave the village alone without saying anything. Do you have a sense of responsibility? What will happen to Konoha if something happens to you outside? Orochimaru said coldly. Danzo, you don't need to ask what I do. Danzo was speechless, then changed the subject and accused. Did you know that during the time you left, something big happened in Konoha? Fortunately, it didn't lead to a big mistake, otherwise you would be Konoha's sinner. Orochimaru said calmly. Since it didn't lead to a big mistake, it's not a big deal. Danzo opened his mouth, but had nothing to say. Okay, if you have something to say, just say it, if nothing else, just get out. Danzo. Mizuki entered the village and took Hyuga Neji away. You immediately ordered Hyuga Hiashi to execute Hyuga Neji with a caged bird. In addition, Mizuki also took away an unidentified person. We need to conduct a village-wide investigation to find out the identity of that person. Orochimaru glanced at Danzo and said, Mizuki-kun is not a stupid person. Since he took away Hyuga Neji, it means that he has a way to restrain caged bird. As a genius of the Hyuga family, Hyuga Neji must have the confidence to dare to follow Mizuki openly. So I think that even if Hisashi activates caged bird, he may not be able to kill Hyuga Neji. It must be said that Orochimaru responded quickly. Based on Mizuki's actions, he immediately had a guess. What? Restrain caged bird? Danzo was shocked and said, this is not possible, this is absolutely not possible. If Mizuki really has a way to restrain caged bird, wouldn't all the Hyuga branch houses defect to him? Orochimaru's face was also filled with worry. I care more about another thing than the Hyuga branch house. On my way back to the village just now, I met Mizuki-kun and 3 others. In addition to Mizuki-kun and Hyuga Neji, there was another person who was wearing a bamboo hat and couldn't see his appearance clearly. But I heard, Hyuga Neji called him father. Hearing this, Danzo's eyes suddenly widened. No, Mizuki has also mastered the reanimation jutsu. How did he learn it so quickly? He came to Konoha to enter the cemetery and steal the corpse. Quick, Orochimaru, use impure world reincarnation summoning on all the strong men who died in the village, and get one step ahead of Mizuki so that his conspiracy cannot succeed. Then he said, I will provide the sacrifice for impure world reincarnation. Orochimaru shook his head and said, I doubt it's impure world reincarnation. Danzo frowned and said, what is it if it's not impure world reincarnation? Just then, there was a knock on the door, and Hyuga Hiashi walked into the office. Lord Hokage, what do you want from me? Hiashi looked unhappy. He felt that Orochimaru was looking for him to order him to kill Neji with caged bird. Neji is his nephew, how could he do it? Hiashi, there is something that you need to confirm in person. Hiashi was stunned, he didn't kill Neji. Sir Hokage, please speak. Orochimaru said, you should know about Mizuki taking Hyuga Neji away. There is an unidentified person traveling with them. I suspect that he is Hyuga Hisashi. This is impossible, Hiashi shouted immediately. But then he thought of something and couldn't help but curse, Mizuki, you actually played with the dead. He shut up mid-sentence, glanced at Orochimaru, and said, sorry, I lost my mind. Orochimaru, whether it is impure world reincarnation still needs to be confirmed. You have to go there in person, and I will send Anbu to accompany you to protect you. Remember, you can only watch from a distance, never get close. I must know whether Hyuga Hisashi is the body of impure world reincarnation, or is he really resurrected. Hyuga Hiashi set off immediately, accompanied by 3 Anbu for protection. The 4 of them ran as fast as they could and headed west after leaving the village. Hiashi also turned on his Byakugan. Soon, Hiashi saw 3 people a kilometer away, 2 of them were Mizuki and Neji, and the other one was wearing a bamboo hat. Brother, is it really you? Hiashi was a little looking forward to it, and a little nervous at the same time, but no matter what, he wanted to find out the truth of the matter. As a result, Byakugan's vision penetrated the bamboo hat and saw clearly the face under the mask. Hiashi shuddered, and his advancing body immediately stopped. It's really him, and he's alive, but how is this possible? Master Hiashi, what happened? 3 Anbu stopped and asked Hiashi. Hiashi couldn't calm down for a long time, his face was full of disbelief. He repeatedly confirmed with his white eyes, and the result was that the person was the living Hyuga Hisashi. The heart is beating, the blood is circulating in the body, and the eyes are not as black as impure world reincarnation. He sighed and said, "Go back and see 5th generation. The mission has been completed." 1 kilometer away, Mizuki held the cat in his arms and glanced back without trace. Rinnegan has the attribute of perception. Although Mizuki did not deliberately train his perception ability, he still felt the gaze from behind. The action was pretty fast, but it doesn't matter. Even if Konoha knew that it could resurrect the dead, what could it do? Here, Hyuga Hiyashi and 3 Anbu returned to Konoha as quickly as possible to meet Orochimaru. "Hokage-sama, I have confirmed that that person is my brother Hyuga Hizashi." He took a deep breath and continued, "It's alive." Upon hearing this news, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly widened. His long tongue couldn't help but poke out his lips, stir it up in the air, and wash his face by the way. Mizuki-kun, he actually mastered the art of resurrecting the dead. He is indeed someone I admire. Danzo couldn't sit still and said, "Orochimaru, at this time, what are you still admiring? Mizuki can resurrect the dead, which is not a good thing for Konoha. He resurrected Hizashi today, thereby taking Neji away. Tomorrow he can resurrect the relatives of other ninjas, and use this as a favor or blackmail to make more people defect to Konoha. He can even resurrect your parents as a threat to you and make you obey his words. You are the Hokage of Konoha and must not be manipulated by others." Orochimaru glanced at Danzo and said, "With Mizuki-kun's strength, do you still need to use these to blackmail others?" Danzo said anxiously, "We must prepare for the worst. He has a grudge against Mizuki, so he doesn't want to see the Phoenix village built by Mizuki grow. Whatever Mizuki wants to do, he tries to trip him up." Orochimaru said, "It's useless, we can't stop him. The only thing we can do now is to completely block the news that Mizuki can resurrect the dead, and never let other villagers know about it. Otherwise, the ninjas in the village will take the initiative to defect and go to Phoenix Village. By then, Konoha will collapse from within." Danzo didn't give up and said, "You can use impure world reincarnation to summon the dead strong men, and then seal their souls to prevent Mizuki from resurrecting them." "Absolutely not," Hyuga Hiyashi objected immediately. However, Orochimaru became thoughtful. "Hiyashi, go back first," Orochimaru ordered. Hiyashi said anxiously, "Hokage-sama, this is not allowed." Orochimaru waved his hand and said, "I have my own opinion on this matter. Don't worry, it won't cause unrest in the village." Hyuga Hiyashi had no choice but to leave. In the office, only Orochimaru and Danzo were left. "Orochimaru, what are your plans for this?" Danzo asked. Orochimaru said, "Don't worry, I'm waiting for news." Soon, an Anbu appeared and reported, "Master 5th Hokage, the cemetery has been inspected. The surface of the tombs is all intact, but there are 12 tombs. The corpses inside have been touched, and the traces are very fresh." "Which 12 seats?" Anbu said. "In addition to Hyuga Hizashi, there are Senju Nawaki, Kato Dan, 4th Hokage Minato-sama, 4th generation Mrs. Uzumaki Kushina, Uchiha Izuna, Hitaki Sakumo, Lin, Yakushi no, Yumi no Ikaku, and Yumi no Kairi." Quote. When Danzo heard the names, he yelled, "Mizuki! Nawaki and Dan are close relatives of Tsunade. It is reported that Tsunade has joined Phoenix Village. Mizuki must have used the resurrection of the two as a bargaining chip to attract Tsunade to join. Even Minato and Kushina will not be spared. This is to completely tie Nine Tails Jinchuriki to him. Hitaki Sakumo is also among them, and he plans to have Kakashi defect as well. And the evil Uchiha clan, Orochimaru, it's time to make a decision, otherwise Konoha will surely fall apart." Orochimaru frowned and asked, "Uchiha Izumi and Uchiha Izuna, who are these two people? What's special about them?" Danzo said, "Uchiha Izumi was Uchiha Itachi's lover. He was killed by Itachi himself on the night of the genocide. As for Uchiha Izuna, the name is somewhat familiar, but I couldn't figure out who it was for a while." Upon hearing the words, Uchiha Itachi, Orochimaru couldn't help but stick out his tongue and lick it. He ordered Anbu, "Go to the archives immediately and look for Uchiha Izuna's information. So many people in the Uchiha clan died, but Mizuki-kun chose these two alone. Uchiha Izuna is related to Itachi, and Uchiha Izuna is definitely not an ordinary passerby." Soon, Anbu found out the news about Uchiha Izuna in the archives room and reported it to Orochimaru immediately. Uchiha Madara's younger brother died at the hands of second Hokage. A person who has been dead for more than 60 years, Mizuki-kun, did you make a mistake? Is this kind of person resurrected and used as an antique? Orochimaru is not Lee. Danzo frowned and thought to himself, is that news true? Is Madara really not dead? But now is not the time to think about this, Danzo urged again. Orochimaru, you can't hesitate any longer. Of course Orochimaru hesitated. He looks young on the surface now, but in fact he is very old and cannot even take big steps when walking. He didn't dare to show it, so he could only pretend to be calm. It would be quite difficult for him to use impure world reincarnation. The serious aging of his body has caused the amount of chakra in his body to be greatly reduced, even less than that of Kakashi. It would be funny if the chakra was exhausted and he died during the impure world reincarnation. Except for Kato Dan, Hitaki Tsukumo, and Minato, the others are not very strong. Even if they are resurrected by Mizuki, it will not be a concern. After all, reanimation jutsu requires sacrifices. I am Hokage now, so I must be cautious in my actions. This evil forbidden technique should be used as little as possible, so as not to arouse the resentment of the villagers. Just choose Dan and Tsukumo, summon their souls, and then seal them. Minato's soul is in Shinigami's belly and cannot be summoned. Danzo said. No, absolutely not. No one can be left to Mizuki, they must all be summoned, and then all sealed. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and said, Danzo, I hope you understand that I am the Hokage. You. Danzo was furious. Orochimaru's words, I am the Hokage, reminded him of many not so good memories. Orochimaru, you will regret it. Danzo left angrily. Looking at Danzo's leaving back, Orochimaru remained unmoved and even snorted. Old man, you still want to point fingers at me, do you think I'm just like the third generation old man and letting you do whatever you want? He ordered Anbu, go to the prison, pick 2 death row inmates, and bring them to the basement of the Hokage building. Let's talk about Mizuki and his party of 3. Neji chose the important things that happened in the village and the Hyuga clan in recent years and told them to Hisashi. Seeing that the father and son had finished talking and their family relationship was getting closer, Mizuki took off with the 2 of them and rushed back as quickly as possible. Halfway through, Mizuki looked at the attribute table. Reviving Hisashi, my chakra consumed 10 calories and my lifespan was reduced by 180 years. The old lady who was resurrected in the kingdom of birds before, chakra also consumed 10 calories, and her lifespan was reduced by 120 years. Chakra consumption is 10 Kakashi, but the consumption of life force is different. As for the law of life force consumption, Mizuki also has some guesses. When I resurrected the old lady, I also gave her an additional 20 years of life. The final consumption totaled 120 years. In other words, simply resurrecting her would only require 100 years of life force. As for Hisashi, he died about 8 years ago. Does that mean that for every additional year of death, his resurrection will cost an additional 10 years of life? These are just Mizuki's guesses. Whether they are correct or not needs to be verified later. Of course, he still had other questions. For example, resurrecting the dead consumes so much vitality. How did Nagato manage to resurrect all the people of Konoha village? These doubts can only be verified later. With 2 people in tow, their flight speed was somewhat affected, but 3 hours later, they returned to Phoenix Village in the country of birds. The father and son Hisashi and Neji were introduced to everyone. Neji took off the Konoha forehead protector. After the father and son put on the Phoenix Village forehead protector, they officially became people of the Phoenix Village. The population size of Fengwang Village has expanded again. The forehead protector from Fengwang Village has a simple yin and yang diagram, which is highly recognizable. Hisashi, Neji, Phoenix Village has just been built. There are many vacant houses. You can choose the houses in the residential area at will. You can solve the problems of daily living, cleaning and food by yourself, or you can hire people from the bird country to solve it for you. I will reimburse all the expenses. After making arrangements, Mizuki asked everyone to disperse, leaving Tsunade, Shizune, and Naruto behind. Master, can my father and mother really be resurrected? Naruto felt very nervous. Mizuki said, your father, Namikaze Minato, I am not sure whether he can be resurrected, but your mother is fine. Let's start with your mother. Mizuki took out a red hair, which was Kushina's hair. Heretic. Rinne Tensai technique. The dazzling green light covered her hair, and even Tsunade couldn't see clearly what was inside the green light. The life force in Mizuki's body quickly dissipated. Naruto's face was filled with anticipation, his eyes staring at the green light without blinking. Finally, the green light disappeared, and a red-haired woman in white clothes and black skirt appeared in the field. She looked around with a blank expression, and when she saw Tsunade, she frowned, seeming to realize something. When she saw Naruto, her eyes froze. Are you Naruto? Naruto. Hearing this gentle voice, Naruto's tears couldn't stop flowing out. Mizuki waved his hands towards Tsunade and Shizune and said, let's go out first and leave this place to them. The three of them walked out of this room and entered another room. Mizuki looks at the attribute table. The chakra consumes another 10 Kakashi, and the lifespan is reduced by 220 years. His guess seems to be correct. Resurrecting a recently deceased person consumes 100 years of life. For every additional year of death of the resurrected person, the lifespan consumed by the resurrection will be 10 more years. Kushina died when Naruto was born, 12 years ago, and resurrected her, saying that Muto had consumed 120 years of life force. Including the basic consumption of 100 years, it is exactly 220 years. Naoki or Dan, who do you choose first? Mizuki asked. Tsunade's voice trembled slightly as he asked, can't we be resurrected together? I want to see them both appear in front of me at the same time. Mizuki said, I think it's better to do it one by one. When two of them appear together, who do you want to talk to first? Tsunade nodded and said, then, let's resurrect Dan first. After all, Dan is also Shizune's uncle. Mizuki nodded, took out the broken hair and placed it on the ground. Rinne Tensai technique is at work again. But the result surprised all three people present. The green light did not appear. How could this happen? Tsunade bit her lip and asked unwillingly. Mizuki was full of doubts because he felt that the chakra and life force in his body were decreasing. This shows that Rinne Tensai technique works. What went wrong? Meanwhile, Konoha village, Hokage building basement. A humanoid sealed object wrapped in bandages and turned into a mummy, with its surface covered with sealing techniques, suddenly burst into green light. When the green light dissipates, the seal is automatically lifted and the bandage is untied, revealing the person inside. Live people. Orochimaru on the side looked at the resurrected Kato Dan with wide eyes. What kind of underworld ninjutsu is this? Can it be resurrected even after being sealed? At this time, Kato Dan asked, Orochimaru, what on earth are you doing? You used impure world reincarnation to summon me to the young world, sealed me, and now released me, what on earth are you doing? Quickly lift the impure world reincarnation and let me return to the pure land. Orochimaru said, Kato-kun, don't you feel that your body is no longer the body of the impure world reincarnation? The beating of the heart, the breathing in the nasal cavity, the flow of blood. I can all feel it clearly. You have been resurrected. By some mistake, Kato Dan was resurrected in Konoha, which Mizuki did not expect. He is still wondering which part of the process went wrong. Mizuki, what's going on? Why isn't Sue resurrected? Mizuki shook his head and said, I don't know. My Rinne Tensai technique has taken effect and my chakra and life force have been consumed. Logically speaking, I should be resurrected. What I want is not a should, but a certainty. Mizuki couldn't give an answer. Don't get excited, Kato Dan will never be resurrected, and Naoki. That being said, he was a little worried now. Naoki won't and can't be resurrected. With trepidation, Mizuki began to resurrect Naoki. This casting did not disappoint, a green light appeared. Tsunade pursed her lips, she was filled with excitement and her eyes were fixed on the green light. When the green light dissipated, a kid with a blush on his face and brown hair who looked similar to Naruto appeared. Elder sister. With a familiar shout, Tsunade couldn't bear it any longer. The next moment, she was holding Naoki in her arms, her shoulders were shaking violently, and her cries could no longer be suppressed. Seeing the reunion between siblings, Shizune was moved to tears. Having followed Tsunade for more than 20 years, she knew clearly how much Tsunade missed his younger brother. Tsunade-sama. Hey. Dudu was also very happy. A smile appeared on Mizuki's lips. There was no accident this time. But the failure to resurrect Kato-dan always left him with a knot in his throat. What is going on? Is Kato-dan's soul in Shinigami's belly? What the facts are will need to be confirmed later. In the room, Tsunade and Nawaki were reminiscing about old times. The two siblings had endless things to say, and the others walked out wisely. In another room, Kushina was recounting her past experiences. Talk about how she came to Konoha from Uzushio village, how she became Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and how she beat up those classmates who were mean-mouthed. It tells the story of her first meeting with Namikaze Minato, their acquaintance under the moonlight, and then their love and marriage. Let's talk about the origin of Naruto's name and the Nine-Tails Rebellion on the day he was born. Naruto listened carefully, like other children, listening to his mother's stories. He remembered every word of Kushina's words. The experiences of the elders always have a special attraction, which can make children calm down and listen carefully. Naruto, I've finished telling my mother's experience. Isn't it very monotonous and nothing outstanding? No, it's not monotonous at all, it's exciting. Naruto said happily. Kushina also smiled and reached out to touch Naruto's head, like a dog's head. Although her son is over 12 years old, she has never experienced how to get along with him, so the way she touches his head is a bit strange. Naruto didn't care about this, because he had never experienced the feeling of being touched by his mother. What kind of person is Dad? Kushina smiled and said, what do you think? Naruto said excitedly. I heard that he was a kind and great man. After all, he sacrificed himself to save Mu, that village. He's also a very smart guy, like me, otherwise he wouldn't be the fourth Hokage. He is very handsome, otherwise my mother, who is so beautiful and gentle, would definitely not like him. And there's more. Mother and son seemed to have endless things to say. Mizuki came to the door and listened to them chatting happily, so he turned and left without disturbing them. At this moment, the system sound suddenly sounded. Ding! Host grants one to disciple Uzumaki Naruto's mother, triggering a 10,000 times return. Host received 10,000 moms. Do you want to claim it? Mizuki. Does it look like there is a cat cake? 10,000 mothers, why not 10,000 fathers? System, whose mother is it? Naruto's or mine? If it's my mother, is it from the ninja world or the original world? The system replied. This return is to Naruto's mother. Depend on. If you don't take it, you definitely won't take it. Naruto's dear mother, it's none of my business. This is a rubbish system. It's a waste of my once chance to get a refund, and it's 10,000 times more. Feeling distressed. But then again, you can get it back if you give it away. Then what will happen if I give Sasuke a Naruto? Will it be returned to tens of thousands of Naruto? If 9 tails, will it also become thousands or tens of thousands? Mizuki narrowed his eyes and felt that it was very exciting. By the way, the system, when giving living creatures to apprentices, must the return be in quantity? Isn't it in quality? A return in quantity is definitely not as good as a return in quality. For example, if you give a bowl of ramen as a gift, you will receive 1,000-fold return. Returning 1,000 bowls of ramen would be of no use to Mizuki. This is a return in quantity. And if the quality is returned, a bowl of chakra noodles with added chakra will be of great use. The system replied. If the granted object has a more advanced form, it will be returned based on the superimposed quality. If there is no more advanced form, it will be returned according to the quantity. So that's it. Mizuki understood. Give Naruto a mother, Kushina. The concept of mother does not have a more advanced form, so if the amount is returned, it cannot be doubled to the grandmother. But suddenly he thought of something. That's not right. I gave Nobita a bowl of instant ramen before and got 61 times the refund after departure. Why did I get 61 bowls of instant ramen and not the more advanced chakra noodles? System. 61 times. If it is returned based on quality, it cannot meet the minimum standard of higher level ramen, so we can only settle for the second best and return it based on quantity. Alright. This means that the multiples are too low, and even if they are superimposed together, there will be no qualitative change. Naruto, all 3 of the return opportunities this month have been used up. Sasuke has 1 left, and Nobita has 2 left. We need to plan carefully. The fat orange I brought back was intended to be given to Sasuke, but not now. For some unknown reason, this cat has chakra appearing in its body and seems to be still cultivating it instinctively. Compared with before, its power and speed have been greatly enhanced. Mizuki plans to wait until the cat becomes stronger before giving it away. In this case, the returned items will be of higher quality. I gave Sasuke reanimation jutsu before, and the one that best matches impure world reincarnation is tandem paper bombs. Well, no, Sasuke can't master such a powerful suicidal technique, so I'd better use another one. Urzuzi always feels that he is very good and too arrogant. If he really learns tandem paper bombs, maybe he will rush up and throw the detonating talisman himself before impure world reincarnation, and feel safe while throwing back. Then he successfully blew himself up. Wait until his chakra control increases and he learns how to change his body. What should I give you? Suddenly, he slapped his thigh with his hand and said, how could I forget this? Kushina has been resurrected. Wouldn't it be nice to ask her to help extract the one tail from Gaara's body and seal it into Sasuke's body? Originally, he planned to wait until he learned the four elephants seal before making plans for one tail. But now with Kushina, there's no need to bother. Minato's sealing techniques were all taught by Kushina, which means that Kushina is definitely the master in sealing techniques. She took action, and the little one-tail Shukaku didn't just obediently appoint him. After the mother and son finish talking in 2 days, I will go to her for help. Next, Nobita is left. Although he has poor qualifications, he is still his apprentice. He came to the Bird Kingdom with him and must be taught well. Best of all, he can also be promoted to Chunin in next year's Chunin exam. Mizuki found Nobita. It's almost midnight, and this kid is still practicing shuriken throwing in the woods. A tree 30 meters away was filled with shurikens, and more shurikens were scattered on the ground. It can be seen that he works very hard. Compared to when he was in Konoha, Nobita's body had grown taller and stronger. In the past, in the orphanage, we only had enough food and clothing. When we arrived in the land of birds, Mizuki had abundant funds and the food was of the highest standard. Children are growing up, and their bodies will grow very quickly if they have adequate nutrition. To improve your strength, let's start with Chuck. As for the result, it all depends on your own character. Mizuki walked out of the forest. Nobita, Master, why are you here? Mizuki smiled and said, it's so late and you are still practicing. Let me come to see you. Cultivation also pays attention to the balance between work and rest. If you practice like this, it will easily damage your body. It is better to rest early in the future. Nobita lowered his head and said, they are all very strong, but I can't even release the basic 3-body technique, so I have to work harder. Mizuki patted him on the shoulder and said, listen to me, practicing like this will have the opposite effect. You must stop before 8 o'clock and go home to take a shower and sleep. That's it for today. You've been practicing for so long and you're probably hungry. Come on, I'll invite you to my house for ramen. Taking Nobita home, Mizuki took out the bucket of instant ramen, boiled water and made 2 bowls. 1 bowl for me and 1 bowl for Nobita. During Chunin's exam, Mizuki visited major stores in Konoha, and of course Ichiraku Ramen also visited. He emptied all the instant hot bucket ramen prepared by hand. Come on, your tonkatsu ramen is ready, eat it quickly. When the lid was opened, Nobita sniffed and said with a face full of intoxication, wow, it smells so good. At this time, the voice of the system was already ringing in Mizuki's mind. Ding! Host grants disciple Nobita a bottle of instant hot ramen, triggering a 999 times return. Host gets a portion of barreled instant chakra noodles. After eating, 1 Kakashi chakra will be added. Mizuki's eyes lit up and he thought to himself that this kid is pretty lucky. The bucket of noodles was quickly eaten by Nobita, and he started drinking soup. You look like you're not full yet. It's okay, I'll make you another one. Nobita said, Master, no need, I'm full, and it's not good to eat too much before going to bed. Mizuki said, there is nothing wrong with it. Children are growing up, so it is good to eat more. He took out the ramen that the system had just returned, brewed it with boiling water, and placed it in front of Nobita. 5 minutes later, the noodles are ready. Eat quickly. For the sake of his disciple's strength, he is no longer afraid of exposing something. Nobita picked up the chopsticks and started eating. He didn't feel it yet after taking the first bite. But when he was about to take a second bite, his expression suddenly changed. Master, my chakra seems to be increasing. Mizuki smiled. It's okay, I know. The bucket of noodles just now was used as a base for you. This bucket of noodles is different. I added a secret medicine in it. If you eat it, it can increase the capacity of chakra. Eat quickly, finish the noodles, don't waste it. The system cannot be exposed, we can only lie to him and say it is a secret medicine. Children are still easy to deceive. When the bucket of noodles is finished, Nobita's chakra increases by 1 Kakashi. In addition, he has some chakra himself, so his current chakra amount has exceeded Kakashi. Now, your chakra level has reached Elite Jonin level. Elite Jonin. Although Nobita is a child, he also knows what Elite Jonin is. Master, is this true? He was experienced, but more excited. Mizuki nodded. It's true. But don't make this matter public. That secret medicine is very precious. I spent a lot of effort to prepare a copy. Because you have the worst strength, I used it on you. Others don't have it. Nobita nodded and said, Master, I know that I will never tell anyone until I die. Mizuki patted Nobita's head. Such an honest boy. How upright. After seeing Nobita off, a moment later there was a knock on the door. Mizuki opened the door and saw Sasuke standing outside. Sasuke, you're still not resting at this late hour. What do you want from me? Urzuzi seemed a little excited. Master, is that red-haired woman really Naruto's mother? Naruto said that you resurrected his mother. Mizuki nodded and said, yes, it is exactly what Naruto said. After getting the accurate answer, Sasuke couldn't bear it any longer. Master, can you resurrect my father and mother too? As long as you help me, I will do anything you ask me to do. Mizuki sighed and said, not yet. Why? Sasuke is not Sister Lee. Mizuki explained, you should have studied reanimation jutsu. Summoning the soul of the deceased from the Pure Land to the ninja world requires a medium, which is the life substance of the deceased. Similarly, using Rinne Tensei technique to resurrect the dead also requires living matter as a medium. This time I went to Konoha. Although I found your parents' graves in the cemetery, they were empty and there were no bodies. What? Sasuke's expression changed drastically, and then he became angry. Konoha, Danzo, 3rd generation. You actually desecrated the corpses of my parents. I will kill Danzo with my own hands, destroy Konoha, and then reincarnate Danzo in the 3rd generation impure world, and torture him with the most cruel methods until the day I die. No, it's not enough. We have to dig out all their parents and children and torture them, making them moan in pain day and night. The second pillar was boiling with rage, the 3 magatama in his eyes were turning wildly, and the whole person was almost crazy. On the night of the Uchiha genocide, Fugaku's eyes were probably taken away or destroyed by Itachi. Itachi knew that his father's eyes were also Mangekyo and would never be left to Danzo, nor to Obito. As for the bodies of the Fugaku couple, they were most likely taken away by Danzo to be used as experimental materials. Not only the Fugaku couple, but also the bodies of many Uchiha masters are not in Konoha Cemetery. Don't worry, when your strength increases, go to Konoha and find your parents' bodies, and then you can resurrect them. Sasuke nodded, calming down. Also, I want to tell you that when the Uchiha clan was destroyed, there was one other person besides Itachi. After hearing Mizuki's words, Sasuke's calm mood immediately became excited again. Who is that person? Mizuki didn't hide anything and said directly, Uchiha. Obito. Hearing the name, Sasuke frowned, without any impression in his memory. Uchiha Obito, is he also a member of the Uchiha clan? Why haven't I heard of him? Mizuki said, you really haven't heard of it, because Uchiha Obito died before you were born. No, everyone thought he was dead. In other words, this Uchiha Obito faked his death. The anger in Sasuke's eyes deepened, and one more name was added to the list of enemies. Master Mizuki, please tell me who this Obito is. Mizuki simply said, Uchiha Obito, a disciple of the 4th Hokage, Kakashi's companion. By the way, Kakashi's Sharingan was given to him by Obito before he died. But everyone in Konoha doesn't know that Obito is not dead. He was saved. Besides Obito and Kakashi, there is a girl named Lin among the disciples of the fourth Hokage. Obito liked Lin, but under a certain conspiracy, Lin died at the hands of Kakashi. As a result, Obito hated Konoha madly. It was Obito who started the Nine Tails Rebellion 12 years ago. Obito also participated in the Uchiha genocide 4 years ago, killing everyone in the police force. At this point, Sasuke had a preliminary understanding of Obito. But he felt that these were not enough. What are his characteristics? When asked this question, the killing intent in Sasuke's eyes was almost undisguised. Mizuki said, "He wears the clothes of the Akatsuki organization and wears an orange one-eyed mask all year round." Sasuke looked at Mizuki and begged, "Can you please not tell Naruto about Obito launching the Nine Tails Rebellion?" "Why?" Mizuki was curious. Sasuke said, "I don't want Naruto to kill him before I can." Mizuki was speechless. Is Obito that easy to kill? Don't be impulsive. Obito masters space ninjutsu and is very difficult to kill. What you have to do now is to practice hard. Only when you are strong can you have a chance for revenge. Sasuke asked, "When I learn how to apparate, can I kill him?" No. Mizuki shook his head. Sasuke frowned and asked, "What exactly is his space ninjutsu?" Mizuki didn't say it clearly, only said, "You will understand when you see it. It is useless to know too much now. It will make you despair." Sasuke left with his heart full of thoughts, and looking at his back, he seemed a little unconvinced. "Don't be too arrogant. It's not that easy to kill Obito." "Well, it seems like there's no chance. Konin's 600 billion detonating charms almost killed Obito. Obito's Kamui has a shortcoming. The hollow in the body lasts up to 5 minutes, and when it absorbs objects or enters a different space, the body will materialize." Sister Nan was well prepared, and the 600 billion detonating symbols continued to explode for 10 minutes. It's outrageous when you think about it. 600 billion pictures, 1 billion pictures exploded every second. It can be said that the energy is completely overflowing, and to put it bluntly, it is a waste of money. But the power was really strong, and it came from all directions. Obito had no way to escape. If it weren't for Izanagi, he would have had to meet Uchiha Madara at that time. Sasuke can also do an explosion that lasts for 10 minutes. All he needs to do is learn tandem paper bombs and prepare enough detonating charms. Tandem paper bombs use detonators to summon detonators, like dominoes. As long as there are enough detonating symbols, they will continue to be summoned and exploded. Prepare enough detonating symbols, not to mention blowing them up for 10 minutes, but for 10 days. Let's talk about it later. Mizuki, the only one left at home, attempts to resurrect Minato. As a result, Rinne Tensei technique failed again. But one thing Mizuki didn't expect was that Minato's chakra and life force were not consumed at all this time. The situation is completely different from when Kato-dan was resurrected. After such a comparison, Mizuki immediately realized that there was something wrong. What's the problem? Is there someone doing something wrong? Mizuki narrowed his eyes. Kato-dan's resurrection process feels like someone has cut it off. Whether someone is doing something wrong or not, I will know when I go to Konoha to verify it. At this time, Fire Nation, Konoha Village, Hokage office. Orochimaru, Danzo, and Kato-dan are all here. Orochimaru, can you tell me now about Tsunade? Is she alive or dead? Kato-dan asked. Orochimaru said, "Tsunade, she is still alive." Suan breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's good to be alive. I didn't expect that after more than 20 years of death, I would still have a chance to meet Tsunade again." Danzo sneered and said, "Although you were resurrected, unfortunately, you may not be able to get together with Tsunade." Duan frowned and asked, "Why do you say that?" Danzo said, "Tsunade has defected to Konoha and joined a village founded by another Konoha traitor, Phoenix Village." Tsunade defected. Phoenix Village. This is absolutely impossible. Duan denied. Nothing is impossible, it is the fact. The Phoenix Village was founded in the Kingdom of Birds by Mizuki, the rebel ninja of Konoha. Mizuki also proclaimed himself first-generation Hokage. Not only Tsunade has joined Phoenix Village, but also your niece Shizune. Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and the orphan Uchiha are also in Phoenix Village. Konoha's wealth is almost wiped out by Mizuki. Dan still shook his head, feeling that Danzo's words were not credible. "I know Tsunade's love for Konoha best. This is the village founded by her grandfather and the sustenance of her heart. There is no way she can betray Konoha. By this time, Danzo had begun to doubt Orochimaru and Danzo. Danzo was definitely aware of his dark ways, even before he died. Orochimaru is no longer the same person in his memory. Using the evil technique of impure world reincarnation to summon him from the Pure Land to the ninja world undoubtedly reminded him that Orochimaru is different from before. He now has some suspicion that Tsunade was forced to defect by Orochimaru and Danzo. Danzo and Orochimaru looked at each other and then said, "Of course Tsunade loves Konoha, her betrayal of Konoha was not her intention." "It's not your intention. What do you mean?" Duan became more and more confused. Danzo said, "This matter starts with the genius of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Shisui." In Danzo's narration, Shisui activated Mangekyo and awakened the most powerful illusion, distinguished heavenly gods, but was killed by Mizuki in a sneak attack and had the Sharingan taken away. He also said that on the eve of this year's Chunin exam, Mizuki's conspiracy was discovered by the third generation. So the third generation devised a plan to collapse Konoha and acted in conjunction with the fourth Kazekage. In fact, it was to ambush and kill Mizuki. Unfortunately, Mizuki was too powerful, and the third Hokage and the fourth Kazekage were killed in counterattack. All in all, it's just passing the blame. In other words, the ninja named Mizuki used distinguished heavenly gods to modify the will of Tsunade and Shizune, making them join the Phoenix village against their original intentions. Danzo and Orochimaru nodded in unison. Good. Even if you can be resurrected, it's his conspiracy. He wants to resurrect you in Phoenix village, and then use distinguished heavenly gods to control you and serve him. We were aware of his conspiracy, so we used impure world reincarnation to summon you. As expected, he cast a resurrection spell on you. Because your soul is in Konoha, you were resurrected in Konoha and successfully shattered his conspiracy. This statement was reasonable and well-founded. Although Kato Dan was still a little confused, he gradually believed what Danzo and Orochimaru said. Duan said, "Where is Phoenix Village in the Kingdom of Birds?" Danzo asked. "Don't be impulsive. Mizuki is extremely powerful. Even the 3 level masters combined are no match for him. If you go, you will die." Duan said, "I will not go over with my body, but use the spiritual technique to go over and possess him and kill him." Danzo and Orochimaru were laughing in their hearts. This was what they were waiting for. "It's okay if you can spiritualize technique." Danzo took out the map and marked the location of Phoenix Village. Killing Mizuki, the distinguished heavenly gods will not be lifted, and the modified will not be restored. But as long as Mizuki dies, with your and Tsunade's feelings and a little guidance, Tsunade and Shizune will naturally return to Konoha. Remember, don't go see Tsunade first, otherwise you will be exposed. If Mizuki is prepared, there may be an accident. When Mizuki dies and you see Tsunade, don't believe her words because her will has been modified by the distinguished heavenly gods. Ban, the future of Konoha depends entirely on you. Kato Dan sat cross-legged on the ground, took a deep breath and held it in his lungs, then his soul left his body and headed straight to the bird country, reaching the ultimate speed. The soulless body looked like a dead person, and its breathing stopped immediately. Ordinary people will fall into coma after 2 to 3 minutes of suffocation, and will become brain dead after 6 minutes of suffocation. After suffocation and coma, brain cells will be irreparably damaged due to lack of oxygen. Kato Dan specially trained to hold his breath in order to extend the time of the spiritual technique. The oxygen capacity of his lungs is much stronger than that of ordinary people. The time for suffocation, coma and death is several times longer than that of ordinary people. It takes about 20 minutes to become comatose and 30 minutes to become brain dead. Therefore, every time he performs the spiritualization technique, it must be completed within 20 minutes, otherwise the brain cells will be damaged. If there is no reply within 30 minutes, you will die. Although the spiritualization technique is powerful, it still has great limitations. In the office, only Orochimaru and Danzo were left. I saw Danzo's crutch hitting the floor, making a crisp sound. The next moment, a root appeared, bringing with it a death row prisoner. Orochimaru frowned and asked, "Danzo, what do you mean?" Danzo said, "Orochimaru, the lie will be exposed sooner or later. When Orochimaru knows the truth, he will definitely break away from us, and maybe he will go wandering with Tsunade. The spiritualization technique is a big killer and must be used by Konoha. So, use impure world reincarnation summoning Shisui. Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods is a very useful tool. After speaking, Danzo took out a glass bottle with an eyeball suspended in the formalin solution. Although Hiruzen is hesitant in doing things, he did a good job in this matter. Danzo looked at the eyeballs in the bottle and smiled. Orochimaru said speechlessly, "How many clones did the old man make?" Danzo said, "Time was tight at that time. Shisui cloned 12 eyes and used them once on 4th Kazekage and 4 times on Mizuki. Unfortunately, Rinnegan was too powerful and Hiruzen failed. There are 7 left, which is enough for now. If there are not enough in the future, they can be cloned at any time." Orochimaru said calmly, "I am not him. My impure world reincarnation has been improved. People who come out of summoning can stay in the ninja world for a long time and will not be automatically released after casting a jutsu." Danzo shook his head and said, "No, that's useless. Every time distinguished heavenly gods is used once, the next use will have to wait 10 years. The best way is to remove Shisui's impure world reincarnation after using distinguished heavenly gods once, and then summoning it out again. Reborn from the dirty soil, distinguished heavenly god's pupil power has been restored, and there is no need to wait for 10 years. Orochimaru, he is a pervert, but now he feels that he is not pervert enough. Even the dead will be used to the ultimate, and there will be no one left." Danzo urged, "Start quickly, we'll be back after a while." Orochimaru spread his hands and said, "Sorry, the use of impure world reincarnation is not casual. It can be used up to 2 times per month. Chunin and Tsukumo were summoned. If you want to use them again, you have to wait until next month." Danzo narrowed his eyes and said, "It can only be used twice a month. Orochimaru, do you think I have never seen impure world reincarnation? The 3rd generation can be used 4 times in a short period of time. After you improved it, it became weaker." He always felt that Orochimaru went to the grass ninja village and was a little passive when he came back. Orochimaru said calmly, "The one used by 3rd generation is the original version. Although it can be used multiple times in a short period of time, it has great limitations. People who are summoned from the dirty land can only last for 1 minute. Although the one I improved can only be used twice a month, people who come out of summoning can continue it forever." Orochimaru talks nonsense, but what he says seems to be true. In fact, there is no such restriction, it is just his excuse. Really, this body is in such bad shape that it can't bear the torment at all. After using impure world reincarnation for the first 2 times, 80% of the chakra in the body was directly consumed. The meridians in the body were aching, and the bones in the whole body were also a little sore. Now Danzo wants him to summon Shisui again, but this is not to kill him. Therefore, I absolutely cannot agree. Danzo looked at Orochimaru and asked, "Is this really true?" Orochimaru also stared at Danzo and said expressionlessly, "Are you questioning me?" The two looked at each other crazily. The atmosphere in the office suddenly became subtle, and there seemed to be lightning crackling in the air. In the end, Danzo couldn't hold it anymore, his momentum weakened, and he was defeated. Since the improved impure world reincarnation cannot be used, let's use the old version. It's disposable anyway. Danzo settled for the next best thing. Orochimaru smiled lightly and said, "In the old version, summoning lasts for up to 1 minute, and will be automatically cancelled immediately after 1 minute. I don't know when Suan will come back. If summoning is early, it will be a waste of a death row prisoner and an eye of Shisui. Let's wait until Dan comes back before we dig Shisui out." While speaking, Orochimaru leaned back, and his hands that were originally on the desk went under the desk. The next moment, there was a Bing Liang pill in his right hand. Then, he pretended to be sleepy and yawned, patted his mouth with his hand, and took the Bing Liang pill into his mouth. Chakra begins to recover. At this time, Danzo suddenly sighed and said, "I can only do it twice a month. The efficiency is really low. How about this, you teach me the improved impure world reincarnation. In this way, the 2 of us together can defile Shisui 4 times a month. Distinguished heavenly gods 4 times a month, it won't take long before everyone in Phoenix Village except Mizuki will be able to change their will. Phoenix Village cannot be allowed to continue to grow, otherwise all 5 major countries will be threatened. I'm not coveting this skill, I'm afraid of long nights and dreams. Orochimaru looked at Danzo with a half-smile, laughing in his heart. What a rubbish excuse you are looking for, you are clearly coveting impure world reincarnation. Old guy, if you want to learn impure world reincarnation, you might as well be realistic and think nonsense. What, can't you? Danzo didn't give up. Orochimaru said. Nonsense, of course not. I spent several years improving it. Why should I let you learn it? I am Hokage, but I am not your teacher. You. Danzo was so angry that he wanted to curse, but held himself back. He suddenly regretted supporting Orochimaru to ascend to the position of Hokage. This cold-blooded animal is even harder to deal with than Hiruzen. Hateful. If I had known that Jiraiya hadn't brought Tsunade back, I should have been the Hokage myself. Miscalculation. Over the ninja world, an invisible light flashed in the sky, reaching the ultimate speed, entering the country of rain from the country of fire, and then to the country of birds, heading straight to Phoenix Village. It is Kato-dan in the state of Soul. It only took him half a minute to cross half of the shinobi world, from Konoha Village to Phoenix Village. When he reached the sky above Phoenix Village, he glanced around. In his soul state, no tangible material could obstruct his vision. He could see who was inside the house and what was going on. At first glance, he saw Tsunade, and then Naoki, and he wanted to go down and say hello right away, but held back. There weren't many ninjas in the village, so he soon found Mizuki. Before departure, Danzo told him Mizuki's physical characteristics in detail. At this time, Mizuki, who was studying the invincible flying thunder god technique in the room, suddenly frowned. This smell is very weird. Besides, it came directly to me. The next moment, he felt something entering the house, but he didn't see anything out of the corner of his eye. Invisible, transparent. No, it came directly through the roof. It doesn't seem to be a living thing. The next moment, he turned on the Rinnegan, and then he saw a person floating down from above and floating towards his body. The human path, one of the Rinnegan's 6 paths, can extract the souls of others, and naturally it can also see the souls. At this time, Kato-dan has come behind Mizuki and is approaching Mizuki's body, preparing to possess him and kill him. But at the next moment, Mizuki suddenly turned around, raised his hand and put it on Kato-dan's head. What? Kato-dan was confused. I am in a soul state, why can he see me? And I don't have a physical body, so why can he catch me? What exactly is going on? If I'm not mistaken, you are Kato-dan. I'm curious, did I offend you in any way? You actually used the spiritualization technique to kill me. Kato-dan said solemnly. Mizuki, you defected to Konoha and took Nine Tails Jinchuriki away. This is a capital crime. Mizuki said calmly. I spent chakra in my life to resurrect you. Is this how you repay me? Kato-dan, you used distinguished heavenly gods to control Tsunade and Shizune, don't think I don't know. You resurrected me just to control me with distinguished heavenly gods. Give up. I am born as a Konoha person and die as a Konoha ghost. I will never join your Phoenix Village. Mizuki, what distinguished heavenly gods? You may have been deceived by Danzo. The reason Tsunade joined Phoenix Village is because I resurrected Naoki and you, not distinguished heavenly gods. Kato-dan said. Do you think I will believe you? I really didn't lie to you. Kato-dan said. You were born in Konoha, grew up under the protection of the Hokage, and then defected when you grew up. People like you have no kindness at all. I will not believe your words. Mizuki snorted and narrowed his eyes. Now that he said that, he didn't have any other ideas. Anyway, Naoki has been resurrected, and Tsunade's joining Phoenix Village is a foregone conclusion, so it doesn't matter if you have one more and you have one less. If you don't believe me, I won't force you. But I resurrected you and you came to kill me. I won't treat it like it didn't happen. So, you'd better go back to the Pure Land. The next moment, Yama appeared behind Mizuki, stretched out his tongue to wrap around the broken soul, and pulled it into his mouth. Kato-dan, who was just resurrected, is dead again. HMPH, Danzo and Orochimaru are very good at driving a wedge between each other. In that case, don't blame me for emptying Konoha's family fortune. Next, Kakashi, Konoha Village, Hokage office, Orochimaru and Danzo said nothing. Time passed by minute by minute. 10 minutes passed, and there was no movement in Kato Dan's body. Danzo was a little anxious and stood up and walked around. Orochimaru didn't panic at all, but comforted him. Don't worry, Mizuki should be dead by now, and Sudan should be reminiscing with Tsunade now. They are lovers after all, and they haven't seen each other for so many years. 15 minutes passed and still no movement. 16, 17, 18, 19. It's almost 20 minutes, and now not only Danzo is anxious, but Orochimaru is also not calm anymore. Soon 20 minutes passed, and Duan's body began to twitch, his face turned red, and the oxygen stored in his body had bottomed out. Brain cells began to be damaged due to lack of oxygen. Danzo shouted, "Quick, oxygen!" A root ducked into the room and an oxygen mask was placed on Kato Dan's face. "Why haven't you come back yet?" Danzo was anxious, but he had no choice but to be anxious. When the time came to 25 minutes, the oxygen was no longer working, the broken body stopped moving, and the complexion began to turn from red to pale. "Danzo-sama, it can't be done. There is no other choice but to give up treatment." 30 minutes passed and Kato Dan still didn't wake up. What the hell is going on? Danzo and Orochimaru looked extremely ugly. Especially Orochimaru, whose face was already pale, but now he's on par with Kato Dan on the ground. How could Dan die? He is in a state of soul and cannot be harmed by any harm from the material world. All ninjutsu, taijutsu and illusions are ineffective. Orochimaru couldn't understand. Danzo's face was gloomy and he said, "I know what's going on." When 4th generation sealed 9 tails, they used a technique called ghoul seal. It sealed the enemy's soul into the Shinigami's body, and as a price, his own soul would also be taken away by the Shinigami. This is the only soul targeting technique that I know of, other than the spiritualization technique. Orochimaru asked, "You mean, Mizuki learned how to seal off the corpses and died together with Duan?" "Not bad." Danzo nodded. Ghoul seal comes from the Uzumaki clan and is recorded in the Book of Sealings. Mizuki stole the Book of Sealings. He has the conditions to learn this technique. Orochimaru frowned. He felt that things might not be that simple. Whether it's the corpses that have been sealed away or not, let's confirm it first. Orochimaru ordered. Immediately pass the message to the spies of the bird country and confirm Mizuki's life and death as quickly as possible. Danzo looked at the broken body on the ground and said, "Wait a minute. Don't bother me. Just use the old version of reanimation jutsu and summoning to ask what happened. You'll understand everything." At this time, Orochimaru had filled up his chakra with the help of the soldier food pill. "Okay, let's summoning again." They arrived at the basement of the Hokage building, where the death row inmate was kneeling on the ground in a daze. Orochimaru took out a scroll and placed it on the ground. After unfolding it, you can clearly see the complex techniques on it. Cut off a piece of flesh from the broken arm, pressed it on the scroll technique, and then he started to form seals. After the seal was formed, the spell on the scroll immediately moved along the ground, and the death row prisoner was surrounded in the blink of an eye. The next moment, green light emitted from the ground, covering the death row prisoner, and dust flew up, covering the death row prisoner. The death row prisoners let out shrill screams. It was about to be completed, but suddenly, the green light dissipated and the dust was annihilated. Reanimation jutsu failed. Orochimaru, what's going on? Danzo asked. But Orochimaru smiled and said, summoning failed. Danzo asked in confusion. Since summoning failed, why do you look happy? Orochimaru explained. The impure world reincarnation failed, this is the second time. The first time, it happened to Namikaze Minato of 4th generation. I didn't understand what happened at the time, but I just learned from you that Minato's soul is with Shinigami, and I understood it. Now that the same failure has recurred, it shows that Zan's soul is also with Shinigami. Danzo's eyes lit up and he even laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, that's great. Mizuki really used the zombie seal, and he died together with Duan. The two never guessed the truth, which was due to lack of intelligence. They knew nothing about Rinnegan and were limited by their own knowledge. After analyzing it, they declared Mizuki dead. Mizuki is dead, everyone is celebrating. Call the heads of the major families and let's go to the barbecue restaurant. Danzo was in great spirits and even proposed to have a barbecue to celebrate. Mizuki put too much pressure on Danzo. If Mizuki didn't die, Danzo would feel out of breath. Now that Mizuki was dead, he immediately felt more relaxed than ever before. He glanced at Orochimaru with an inexplicable meaning in his eyes. Orochimaru, I have discovered your secret. You are so weak now that you are not qualified to be the Hokage. Don't blame me for seizing power, I'm doing it for Konoha too. From today on, I will leave the darkness and move towards the sunshine, preparing to become a new generation of Hokage. Mizuki is dead. Nothing can threaten me anymore. I don't need you to stand in front of me anymore. Orochimaru had no objection to Danzo's suggestion and told Anbu to invite the heads of the major families. Little did they know that Mizuki was flying towards Konoha at this time. While Danzo and the others were drinking and laughing at the yakiniku restaurant, Mizuki had already entered Konoha. In the darkness, an inconspicuous pool of liquid traveled underground. After entering the Hokage building, it went directly to the Hokage office and revealed its original form. The moment Mizuki showed up, the guard Anbu immediately discovered it. Attacks from 3 directions came instantly, including shurikens, kunai, and knives. All the attacks hit Mizuki, 3 shurikens, 1 in each eye, and the remaining 1 in the throat. A kunai was shot into the left chest, leaving only the handle outside. Even an inexperienced person would know that the heart had been pierced. The katana pierced the abdomen from behind, and the tip of the sword was exposed from the front, with half an inch. 3 Anbu's figures were revealed, and the one with the knife was the closest, half a meter behind Mizuki. The 3 of them had disdain on their faces when they saw how easily they had dealt with the intruders. With such strength, he dares to walk into Hokage's office with such swagger. I really don't know how the word, death, is written. Turn on the light and see what kind of retarded face this person has. At this time, the office door opened, and an Anbu, a squad leader, walked in. He ordered in a commanding tone, "The cows will carry the body down, the horses will clean up the scene, and the pigs will open all the windows and use wind-style ninjutsu to blow away the blood." While speaking, he reached out and pressed the light switch. As the light disperses the darkness, Mizuki's features become clear. Is this Mizuki? The squad leader was shocked and immediately retreated to the door, taking out a kunai as a warning. There was cold sweat on his forehead. "Captain, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with Mizuki? He's dead and his heartbeat has disappeared. What are you afraid of?" the knife-wielding team member asked curiously. The squad leader shouted, "Retreat immediately and be on guard." The 3 of them acted as ordered and immediately retreated. Even in this tense environment, the knife-wielding boy didn't even want the knife. Under 4 pairs of eyes, Mizuki's body moved, his neck swayed from side to side, and his joints made a clicking sound. His hand also moved, and he pulled out the kunai stuck in his chest. The shuriken stuck in the eye socket was completely pushed into the eye socket and entered the brain with his slap. He also grabbed the tip of the knife that was inserted into his body, rotated it a few times, and then pulled it out from the front. The process of pulling out was very smooth. Seeing this strange scene, the 4 Anbu's pupils shrank wildly. 5th Hokage Orochimaru's jutsu is weird enough, but it's not as weird as what you see now. The sound of swallowing saliva was particularly clear in this quiet environment. What kind of monster is this? At this time, Mizuki raised his head, grinned, and revealed a big white fang. This is nothing, the key is that the corners of his mouth grinned wider and wider, and finally the grin reached directly to the base of his ears. But it's still not over. On his face, the skin peeled off like fish scales, falling off piece by piece, revealing the bright red flesh and blood inside. Coupled with the 2 empty eye sockets, it is simply crazy. This terrifying scene is comparable to a ghost coming to your door. "Ah!" an Anbu screamed, he couldn't stand it anymore. While screaming, he formed seals with his hands. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Put the great fireball in the Hokage's office, this guy is a talent. The main reason is that he has broken his psychological defense. Stop it, pig, this is an illusion, don't be fooled. The squad leader wanted to stop, but it was too late. The great fireball formed and hit Mizuki. Mizuki's smile remained unchanged, but he had already used Rinnegan's sealing seal. The great fireball came to him, was absorbed immediately, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Gia, who told you that this was an illusion? His empty eyes stared at the squad leader. The squad leader's heart beat rapidly, his face turned pale, and his whole body was covered with goosebumps. You, what the hell are you? Mizuki has had enough. He asked. Let me ask you, apart from Kato-dan, who else came out of Orochimaru's impure world reincarnation summoning? The squad leader suppressed his fear and shouted, you can't get any information from us. Mizuki raised his eyebrows and said, tisk, tisk, twice. If you don't tell me, then I'll have to check it out myself. He raised his hand, activated universal pull, and the squad leader immediately flew towards him uncontrollably. Immediately afterwards, a punch hit the opponent's abdomen. Under the severe pain, the squad leader lost the ability to resist. Team leader. The three Anbu shouted and all attacked Mizuki. Mizuki's eyes glanced, and all three of them fell into the illusion. Putting his hand on the squad leader's head, Mizuki used the ability of the human world to start searching the squad leader's recent memories. Soon, he got the information he wanted. It turned out that only Kato-dan and Hatake Tsukumo were filthy. It seems that something happened to Orochimaru's reincarnation this time, and Chakra seems to be dissatisfied. Otherwise, he can't be just a dirty person. Abandoning the person, Mizuki left Hokage's office, went straight to the negative floor, and found a secret room. Everyone he met along the way was knocked unconscious by his magic. The secret room door was sealed, and Mizuki once again used the sealing technique to absorb the seal, absorbing the chakra supporting the seal. Open the door and enter. There is only one thing here. A mummy whose surface is covered with sealing techniques. Inside the mummy is none other than Hatake Tsukumo. With a wave of his hand, the mummy was put into the storage ring. With Hatake Tsukumo, Kakashi is not far away. Next, it's time to take a little revenge on Konoha. Today we must let Danzo and Orochimaru know that my idea, Mizuki, is not so easy to fight. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.